Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning. More fallout, more reaction to the government admitting it's hired almost 500 retirees, rehired them, put them back in the public service. The Department of Environmental Planning and Protection releasing bronze baseline report on the SpaceX booster landing. And it's Black History Month. We are talking about some interesting things that you might not know about the history of the Bahamas this morning with historian Christopher Davis. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
It's a new day. Wake up. It's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Friday, February 21st, 2025. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Also this morning, we'll get a preview of the upcoming Bahamas Hope Challenge, otherwise known as Ride for Hope. What do you need to know if you're taking part this year? That's all ahead on this Friday. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, investigations continue into a fatal shooting incident. It happened last night in the Montel Heights area. We don't know many details. We're hoping to have more for you in our 8 o'clock newscast. But again, a fatal shooting in the Montel Heights area last night. In other news, after it was revealed that nearly 500 retired public servants have been reinstated into the public service. Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson says that it is, quote, disgraceful and an injustice that teachers are forced to beg for money owed to them while others receive excessive contracts in addition to their pensions. Wilson, in a voice note, saying, quote, it is disgraceful that hard-working public servants will not be paid for work they have already done, but the chosen few can enjoy gratuities, pensions, and a Gussie May contract. While she says she fully supports the reemployment of teachers in subject areas where there are shortages, she noted that some of the contracts for senior public officers are excessive. Meanwhile, as you heard yesterday, Minister of Foreign Affairs and PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell hitting out at what he termed propaganda regarding the Davis administration rehiring those public service retirees. He said the argument from the FNM that the government is not supportive of younger people having a chance to advance in the public sector is not true. He said statistics show the Bahamas is a country that is growing older with fewer young people able and available to join the workforce. He said the PLP has a stellar record of hiring young people, adding that thousands of them were hired by the Davis administration in areas such as law enforcement or have been provided employment through government organized jobs. The recently released environmental baseline statement for SpaceX's first booster landing in Exuma Keys by the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, revealing environmental consulting firm Braun Limited's findings that most of the impact of the SpaceX rocket booster landing would come from noise disruption and disruption to maritime traffic. Braun's 300-page report, which was submitted to the government on March 25th last year, explains that the booster landing project's impact on the environment was determined by dividing the total project impact into different categories, which included land use, water quality, biological resources, air quality, noise quality, cultural resources, energy, socioeconomics, community services, aesthetics, and marine transportation. The summary impact table explaining that in a nominal situation, the impact to land use, water quality, biological resources, and so on would be beneficial, would be negligible, while the impact to noise quality and marine traffic would be minor, and the impact to socioeconomics and community services would be beneficial. The Office of the Prime Minister releasing a statement with a link to Braun's baseline statement explaining that the government is committed to transparency regarding SpaceX's booster landings, and is also committed to ensuring that all projects align with national environmental standards and best practices. An accused human smuggler who is wanted in the United States has been appointed a Florida-based lawyer to work out the terms of his surrender. Vandrick Smith appearing before Chief Magistrate Roberto Reckley yesterday for a status hearing in his case. The 34-year-old Smith is charged with 5 counts of attempting to bring non-citizens to the United States, resulting in death stemming from the January 2022 venture. He's also charged with conspiring to bring non-citizens to the United States for profit, placing in jeopardy the lives of non-citizens and resulting in death, attempting to bring non-citizens to the United States for profit, and attempting to aid and assist certain non-citizens to enter the United States. If convicted of attempting to bring non-citizens to the United States resulting in death, Smith faces a maximum penalty of life in prison. Darnell Dorsett, who represents the U.S. government, informed the court that Smith is represented in the United States by Larry Donald Murrell, Jr. She proposed an adjournment to allow Smith's local lawyer, Ian Cargill, to liaise with Murrell. A boat carrying 24 migrants intercepted in waters between Bimini and Florida. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the group included 21 Chinese nationals, 1 Ecuadorian, 1 Colombian, and 1 Dominican man, who is the suspected smuggler. The boat was first detected off the coast of Bimini around 11:40 a.m. on Tuesday. And the owner of the popular O. Andros restaurant receiving a conditional discharge after he indecently assaulted a teenage employee by kissing her on the lips. Morales Joseph pleaded guilty at his arraignment before Assistant Chief Magistrate Carolyn Vogt Evans, according to the prosecutor. The 19-year-old was behind the cash register when Joseph kissed her without her consent on February 18th. In response to inquiries from the magistrate, Forbes confirmed, this is the prosecutor, that other people were around when the incident occurred. Joseph's lawyer, Moses Bain, asked the court not to record a conviction because he employs dozens of Bahamians and Bahamian nationals in the country. The lawyer also saying that he had warned Joseph that he was, quote, too friendly and too helpful, and he argued that the unwanted kiss was a friendly gesture to build and to give encouragement. Overseas, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing revenge for what he described as a cruel and malicious violation of the ceasefire agreement after a body that Hamas released as part of the deal was found to not be that of an Israeli mother of 2 young boys as the militants had promised. The incident has thrown the future of the fragile ceasefire into question. 6 more living hostages are scheduled to be released Saturday as part of the tenuous ceasefire that has paused over 15 months of war. In a statement today, Hamas said it would conduct a thorough review of the information regarding the body and suggested a possible mix-up of remains might have occurred due to Israeli bombing of the area where the Israeli hostages were being held, where other Palestinians were also present. Hamas turning over 4 bodies Thursday as part of the ceasefire. They were supposed to have been those of Shiri Bibas and her 2 young sons, Kiefer and Ariel Bibas, and an 83-year-old man who was abducted during the Hamas attack that started the war on October 7, 2023. Israeli authorities said that while the remains of the 2 boys and of the 83-year-old Oded Lifshitz were positively identified, the 4th body was found to not be that of Shiri Bibas, but that of an unidentified woman from Gaza. And 1 Colombian soldier killed and another injured in clashes with guerrilla dissidents in a coca-growing region where their turf war with a rebel group has left dozens of people dead. A statement from an anti-narcotics branch of Colombia's National Army said the soldiers were carrying out military stability operations when they engaged in combat against holdouts from the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, the group's Spanish acronym. It was not immediately clear what caused the soldiers' death. The army in the statement blamed an improvised explosive device for the wounded soldiers' injuries. 2 dissidents were also injured. The army did not explain their condition. And Panama's president saying that he has instructed the country's foreign minister to not discuss the U.S. government's allegations of Chinese interference in the operations of the Panama Canal with the visiting head of U.S. Southern Command. The comments following a dust-up the day before when the U.S. Embassy in Panama said one of the agenda items for the visit would be discussing efforts to protect the canal area from Chinese Communist Party influence and control. The Chinese embassy in Panama quickly shot back with a statement saying the country has never participated in the management nor operation of the Panama Canal. It called allegations by the Trump administration that China controls the canal, quote, pure lies. It's accusing the U.S. government of trying to sabotage relations between China and Panama, but said its efforts will fail. It's time for sports, brought to you by Kalik. The Bahamas got exactly what it needed Thursday night and is very much alive for advancement to the FIBA AmeriCup tournament, the 2025 FIBA AmeriCup tournament basketball. Given its loss to Cuba already and the point spread system that is in place, Team Bahamas needed to win by at least 15 points over Cuba on Thursday and also needs Puerto Rico to beat Cuba in San Juan on Sunday. Well, the Bahamas won emphatically in the first game of its final window for the qualifiers, blasting Cuba 97-74 at the Kendall Isaacs Gym. The team led by as much as 25 points in the contest, leaving no doubt as to what the final result would be. The only question was how much would the final margin be. Team Bahamas' head coach John Lucas III used all 12 players, and nearly the entire unit contributed. You can read about it in today's Guardian Sports section. And on a short break from school and no longer a junior, Bahamian Dakari Turnquest is in Las Vegas, where he has an opportunity to defend his world title at the 2025 Billiard Congress of America Pool League World Championships. The championship's ongoing through to March 1st, held at the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino, competing in the Platinum Division of the men's 9-ball singles as an 18-year-old, Turnquest reaching the round of 32 before falling to American Miguel Montes Rivera in a hill match. Turnquest lost that match 6-5. He then went into the losers bracket and won 2 more matches before falling to American Kevin Mullins in another hill match, losing 6-5. But read all about it in today's Guardian Sports section. And from the NHL, while the American fans lightly booed O Canada on Thursday night at the Four Nations Face-Off hockey tournament, the Canadian singer ad-libbed new lyrics as response to U.S. President Donald Trump's chatter about turning the country into the 51st U.S. state. A smattering of jeers for O Canada were eventually drowned out by the fans singing along with Chantal Kreviazuk, who changed the first verse from True Patriot Love in All of Us Command to In True Patriot Love that none but us command. Midway through Canada's 3-2 overtime victory, Kreviazuk telling the Associated Press she did it because, quote, I believe in democracy and a sovereign nation should not have to be defending itself against tyranny and fascism. The Canadian chart topper posted a picture on Instagram of the phrase that only us command, written on her left hand with emojis of a Canadian flag and flexed muscle. Meanwhile, the Star-Spangled Banner followed with a sellout TD crowd at full volume in an anthem battle. It became the undercard for one of the most anticipated hockey games in decades. It ended with Connor McDavid scoring at 8:18 of overtime. Again, Canada beating the U.S. 3-2 in overtime. At sports, brought to you by Kalik, the beer of the Bahamas, inviting you to Victory Fest 2025, Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler's Square, for an epic celebration of the 2024 Boxing Day and 2025 New Year's Day Junkanoo winners, the Saxon Superstars. The Junkanoo season may be over, but the celebration is just getting started. For the 4 straight Junkanoo winners, the Saxon Superstars, Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler's Square. Brought to you by Kalik, the beer of the Bahamas. It's time for your first look at weather for today, brought to you by Grosvenor Medical Center. A cold front across the central Bahamas is going to continue to move southeastwards with little fanfare. It's then expected to stall over the southeast Bahamas by tonight. Meanwhile, high pressure is going to build behind the front, and that's going to support some breezy conditions today. Cloudy skies across most of the country into the weekend. A near gale watch is in effect for the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas. Strong high pressure will continue to support breezy to windy conditions through the weekend while shifting eastward. Then on Monday, a disturbance in the Gulf of Mexico, supported by a deepening mid to upper level trough, will cross the Florida Peninsula and move eastwards, dragging a frontal boundary across the northern Bahamas by Monday afternoon. So this one's going to bring some rain, heavy showers, isolated thunderstorms, and an elevated risk of flooding is possible across the country by Monday afternoon into late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. So we could have a number of days of heavy rain. That disturbance is going to move northeastwards. High pressure is going to build across it, across the region behind the disturbance. Beachgoers are being advised to stay out of Atlantic exposed waters due to the high risk of rip currents and rough surf in northerly and northeasterly swells. Motorists should exercise caution along coastal roadways as well. So for today, for most areas, we're looking at partly cloudy to cloudy conditions. Only about a 10 to 20% chance of a stray shower. Winds north to northeast at 15 to 20 knots with higher gusts. Temperatures today, we're looking at, for the northern Bahamas, including Grand Bahama, highs around 81 Fahrenheit, lows around 61 Fahrenheit. For the rest of us, about 83 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius for highs. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 67 Fahrenheit, 19 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll tell you exactly what to expect this weekend coming up in just a bit. This first look at weather brought to you by Grosvenor Medical Center. Screening for colorectal cancer should begin at the age of 45. Reduce your risk for colon cancer and schedule your colonoscopy today at reduced prices for the months of March and April at the offices of Dr. Harold Munnings, located next to Princess Margaret Hospital. They're offering an even lower price for those who present with their NHI cards. Give them a call today at 328-5550. That's Grosvenor Medical Center.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of the
It is time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
It's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Maybe it's time to explore your options. There's no harm in reviewing your mortgage arrangement and considering a better deal. CIBC Caribbean can help you narrow your search and decide. Switch your mortgage to CIBC Caribbean and enjoy a special interest rate and help towards your switching cost. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/inspired home for more information. Conditions apply.
Looking to elevate your gadget game or a tech trouble simply slowing you down? Escape to a world of innovation at Custom Computers, your go-to store for the latest cutting-edge tech. Whether you need to upgrade your life with the best from Apple and Windows or your device needs a little TLC, the Custom Computers Know-How Store is the destination for unbeatable expertise and quality repairs. With 2 convenient locations, there's a Custom Computers near you on Patton Street in Palmdale and Caves Village, or call 396-1100.
Are you ready to break up with your car? Easy Car Sales invites you to fall in love with an electric vehicle. Ditch the gas pump, the expensive mechanics. Feel the freedom, the power. Visit easy242.com and make a date to test drive an electric vehicle today. Get into a better relationship. Find your perfect match at Easy Car Sales and drive electric happily ever after.
Are you struggling to manage payroll and employee files for your school system? Well, TriBlock HR is your solution to streamline your human resources. TriBlock HR is a cutting-edge, proven digital platform designed to elevate your school's human resources management. From processing leave requests to handling payroll, it ensures greater transparency and efficiency across your operations. Whether it's teachers, administrative staff, or support teams, managing your school's workforce has never been easier. Call us today at 812-2195 or visit us at TriBlockHR.com.
Planning for retirement can be overwhelming, but with CFAL, it doesn't have to be. We offer tailor-made individual, group, and pension solutions that take the guesswork out of retirement planning. Whether it's for you or your company, don't leave your future to chance and let the trusted hands of CFAL's experts guide you toward peace of mind and financial stability. Low upfront costs and affordable monthly payments make it easy for you to build wealth so you can live well. Visit us at CFAL.com to start on your path toward financial freedom. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
Wake up, it's a new day.
Fall in love with your water service this February with the Water and Sewage Corporation Sweet Savings Campaign. Pay your bill in full on or before the due date. Complete the entry form and we'll sweeten the deal with a 5% discount on your next bill. That's right, save some sweet cash just by keeping your account current. It's simple, it's easy, and it's our way of saying thank you for being a valued customer. Don't miss out. Offer runs from February 1st to the 28th. Show your water service some love and enjoy the savings that come with it. Visit our website at wsc.com.bs today to learn more. Pay in full, save more. It's that simple with Sweet Savings. The Water and Sewage Corporation, refreshing your life with sweet savings this Valentine's Day.
Spain sounds like this. But with a little Caribbean, it can sound like this. The world needs more Caribbean. And with FedEx, you can ship your products to every corner. With increased cargo capabilities, 24/7 shipment tracking, and shipping tools, take your business worldwide and enjoy life a bit more like us.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Got a lot to talk about on this Friday morning. We're going to talk about the Bahamas Hope Challenge in our 8 o'clock hour. That was what is commonly known as Ride for Hope. Details about this year's event. And then later, it is Black History Month. And we've got Christopher Davis, historian Christopher Davis, John Canoe II with us. He's going to be talking about some very interesting things that you didn't know about, probably, about the history of this country and beyond. That's all ahead. But right now, let's talk about what else is happening in the news. And in the news, we're hoping to have more details for you as to what happened last night. There was a shooting incident in Montel Heights, and by our 8 o'clock news, we hope to have a clearer picture of what's going on. But this was a fatal shooting incident, and so we are working to get the details for you in our 8 o'clock news. And we didn't get into this yesterday, but just an update on some information from the police. So a few things that they were seeking to clarify. There was an incident in a home in Eastern Estates on Saturday. Police had initially classified the death as suspicious. A 65-year-old man found lifeless in a home, but now they're saying this was a sudden death as that victim had a pre-existing medical history. And then there was an incident on DeVoe Street on the 12th of February. Police reported that an adult man was found unresponsive on the street, off East Street. He was taken to the hospital where he died. They had initially said it was a suspicious death, but an autopsy determined that the victim's injuries were not life-threatening. He died from an irregular heartbeat. So that was also reclassified as a sudden death. But this one here, remember this fire last week on the 13th of February And police found the lifeless body of a man in the building that had been on fire. That was originally classified as a death investigation, but that has now been reclassified as a homicide. So, very interesting stuff there. There are lots and lots and lots of rumors flying around about the state that body was in that definitely didn't look like manslaughter either. But we'll see what the police say as they continue with their investigation. All right, so that's happening. We're going to get to the hot issue of the day. Everyone's still talking about the retirees, the nearly 500 retirees back in the public service. Again, the union leaders have been talking about this for months now, but I don't know if they were aware of how large a number it was. We'll get to that. But there's also SpaceX and the report on the environmental impact of this landing that took place a few days ago. It's the baseline report. So our Chester Robards writing about this in today's NASA Guardian in the business section. So the recently released environmental baseline statement for SpaceX's first booster landing in the Exuma Keys by the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection has revealed environmental consulting firm Braun Limited's findings that most of the impact of the SpaceX rocket booster landing would come from noise disruption and disruption to marine traffic. Braun's 300-page report, which was submitted to the government on March 25th last year, explains that the booster landing project's impact on the environment was determined by dividing the total project impact into different categories, which included land use, water quality, biological resources, air quality, noise quality, cultural resources, energy, socioeconomics, community services, aesthetics, and marine transportation. The summary impact table explains that in a nominal situation, like the successful landing of the Falcon 9 booster first stage booster on a drone ship in the Exuma Sound on Tuesday, the impact to land use, water quality, biological resources, air quality, noise quality, energy, and aesthetics would be negligible, while impact to noise quality and marine traffic would be minor, and impact to socioeconomics and community services would be beneficial. The Office of the Prime Minister releasing a statement with a link to Braun's baseline statement explaining that the government is committed to transparency regarding SpaceX booster landings and is also committed to ensuring that all projects align with national environmental standards and best practices. So their statement saying that the government of the Bahamas, through the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, under the Ministry of the Environment and Natural Resources, has made public the environmental baseline statement for the SpaceX project. Okay. The report submitted by Braun Limited on behalf of Space Exploration Technologies Corp., SpaceX, was received on March 25th last year and provides an assessment of environmental conditions in the area. The statement outlines what the baseline of the landing area was before the landing of the rocket so that Braun could determine what the effects of the rocket landing were after Tuesday. So I guess we'll have to wait to find out that. All right. Yesterday, Braun employees were continuing their study of the marine area surrounding the drone ship, as well as the terrestrial areas on surrounding islands. They were also on hand carrying out data recovery during the landing event on Tuesday. There have been concerns from locals over the potential impact rocket landings could have on this country and what measures have been put in place to mitigate mishaps. People across the Bahamas heard the sonic boom caused by the re-entry of the rocket booster and were concerned about the impact it could have. Well, Braun's report explains that SpaceX is required under the terms of its FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration of the U.S., launch operator license to assess public risk for all persons beneath the launch trajectory per launch regulations. While the flight path passes over land, the vehicle is over 40 miles in altitude above when crossing over Grand Bahama. The trajectory was also designed to stay north of New Providence of Nassau and minimize risk to the public of overflight during its descent. Accounting for these factors, the cumulative risk to the general public is well below the FAA public risk thresholds. Cumulative expected casualty risk to the persons in the Bahamas was calculated to be 4 in 1 million, which is well below the FAA regulatory threshold of 149 in 1 million. Okay. Wow. Furthermore, the sonic boom over populated land is expected not to exceed 1 pound per square foot. In general, for well-maintained structures, the threshold for potential damage from sonic booms is 2 PSF. Below 2 PSF, damage is unlikely. Okay. Therefore, SpaceX does not expect historical structures. SpaceX would be responsible for resolving any structural damage caused by the sonic boom. It's good to know. The government has touted many potential benefits of its partnership with SpaceX. Brown's report outlines what some of those benefits are for the country. Okay, I think we've heard a lot of that before. But so that was the baseline report, what they found before, and so we are going to see what comes now that the first one has happened. But let's get your reaction to that report. They had this last year. I'm not sure why this was just released this week. That's odd. No? Okay. But let's hear from you. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. So let's read that again. The impact to land use, water quality, biological resources, air quality, noise pollution, noise quality, energy, and aesthetics would be negligible, while noise quality and marine traffic would be minor, the impact to that, and the impact to socioeconomics and community services would be beneficial. So, yeah. Bahamians have also, of course, voiced concerns about a potential mishap, and if the response plan is in place for such an eventuality. Braun says SpaceX has landed Falcon 9 over 160 times in the last 2 years with a 100% success rate. While the plan is to land precisely on the S1 touchdown location, SpaceX does account for off-nominal scenarios, which is why SpaceX has generated the pink booster ellipse previously shown. The ellipse shows the possible landing location area in the event Falcon 9 has an anomaly and lost full control of the vehicle. The worst-case scenario is that Falcon 9 does not land on the drone ship and instead lands in the pink ellipse. In the event this were to happen, SpaceX has emergency response procedures to salvage any floating debris in the water and sink large pieces of debris that are unable or unsafe to collect or cannot be retrieved. The SpaceX team will have a vessel on the scene and be ready to respond in the event of an anomaly. SpaceX will bear all costs related to recovery and anomalies. Well, Prime Minister Davis saying in remarks prior to the launch of the rocket that the government has worked hand in hand with SpaceX to ensure that these landings follow strict safety and environmental protocols. Braun's expected to release its data to DEP by the beginning of March. This is the post-landing information, so a few weeks away. Okay, well, let's hear from you again. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Toll free 242-300-5720. Do you care about the baseline report? Are you only concerned about what the findings will be after this initial landing? This texter says here, it is odd that they held on to the environmental report for so long because there's supposed to be a public consultation period, which I guess the government thought was not necessary. Well, I don't know if there was supposed to be, but that would have been nice. It would have been nice, and it's very strange. They added almost a year. Very, very, very odd. Can these dumb Bahamians please stop pretending like they care about the environment? Wow. Asking about what environmental impact SpaceX rockets will have. Please go clean up Arawaki Beach. Well, okay. Wow. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, it sounds like you're by yourself.
Yes.
Okay, Dwight. I mean, just for the record, right? See, the Prime Minister, when they speak, right, today, most people don't take too much note of what the Prime Minister is saying. Let me tell you why, right? This gentleman has a long list of telling us things that never really happen or never come to fruition, right? Or we just can't believe this man, right? Because I'm not hearing nobody talking about SpaceX and the reason why they possibly was run out of the Gulf of Mexico for pollution. Ain't nobody talking about these stories in the Bahamas. All they talking about is the pretty story, but this historical and $1 million for the which. See, because our leaders then demonstrate us. Anybody can come with a bag of money. That's all. That's all they're interested in. Right? When we can hear something, but the real truth about SpaceX and why they are not, or they discontinue landing inside the Gulf of Mexico. Because if the information is right there, they was causing pollution in those waters. So what is the difference between our waters and their waters? You know what's the difference? We have fish more than they have fish, and now we can have less fish, in my view, than after this. All of this is over with, man. You know, because these people don't do things because they love us. They do things because they get away with what they want to do in this country, right? Have a nice day.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, all right. I'm not sure if it's the same thing. I don't know if it's the same type of thing what they were doing in the Texas area that they're doing in Florida and over the Bahamas. So I can't say, but I hear you, and yes, people are concerned about that, definitely. This text here, good morning. This text, why don't we all just Google an EIA, which will have a baseline study from Port Canaveral? Copy, paste, maybe. Are you saying that's what was done? Is that what you're saying? Let's take this call. Good morning, you're on the air.
Morning, Dwight. How you doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Wonderful, wonderful. The first caller was right on point, but he missed one. I like the bag of money thing. See, it ain't make no sense in us unless we Bahamians come together and with a collective effort to try to straighten out this country. It ain't make no sense calling the talk shows every day, complaining for 51 years, 7 months, and 2 weeks. We got to do something, you understand? But my concern, only concern, because Elon Musk got trillions, eons of dollars. So I know if these wicked people we got to lead, and us can fight against that. I want to know who gets the bag of money, like the first caller say, the finder's fee. That's why you guys go find that out with GNN. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay. All right. I hear you. Let's take this call. Good morning. You're on the air. Are you there? No, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. So there's an article in the other paper, the Tribune, environmentalists, activists saying they're not pleased with what they heard from Braun. So this article says, although a SpaceX report released yesterday concluded that booster landings in the Bahamas are expected to have minimal impact on marine life, water quality, and local ecosystems, environmentalists arguing that the document is insufficient and cannot substitute for a full EIA, environmental impact assessment. The environmental baseline statement submitted by Braun, a local consulting firm, on behalf of SpaceX last March was made public by the Davis administration just yesterday, following calls for transparency around the environmental impact of SpaceX's operations in the Bahamas. The document's release came after the Bahamas on Tuesday became the first country outside the United States to host a successful landing of a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket booster, which touched down on a drone ship in the Exuma Sound. It was the first of 20 landings planned for the country. Well, environmentalists welcome the disclosure as a step toward transparency, but they're maintaining that a comprehensive EIA is still necessary to assess the risks and ensure robust governance. In a letter to Tourism Minister Chester Cooper, several environmental groups, including BREEF, the Bahamas Reef Environmental Educational Foundation, and Friends of the Environment, and EarthCare, requested the release of the EIA, the Environmental Management Plan, and details on economic impact and compensation. Everyone's asking about the compensation. Many, many questions about that, as you heard that previous caller say. The letter said that while the community welcomes innovation and economic progress, proactive and ongoing engagement with stakeholders is essential, particularly for projects with potential human and environmental impact. It said that an EBS, the baseline study, differs from an EIA in that it primarily compiles existing environmental data rather than assessing the potential effects of a project in detail. I think that's what that texter was suggesting. The document outlines baseline conditions but does not include a full analysis of potential risks, mitigation measures, or extensive consultation with stakeholders. Key findings from the EBS indicate that booster landings on an offshore drone ship are not expected to disturb the seafloor or marine ecosystems, nor affect water quality or local habitats. The report referenced previous studies showing that the offshore Bethnic, is that right? Bethic, okay, environment in Exuma Sound consists mainly of sandy seabeds, occasional seagrass meadows, and patch reefs in shallow areas, but it acknowledged that its extensive research relied on existing studies, citing time constraints preventing additional data collection. For instance, depth verification soundings were not conducted within 2 weeks, as the necessary equipment was not readily available in the Bahamas. A marine traffic survey found low vessel activity in the designated landing area, reducing risks to commercial and recreational boats. The report said landing activity is brief and that launches must be delayed if vessels are present. It also acknowledged potential marine environmental risks from debris, including up to 300 gallons of liquid propellant in the event of an anomaly. However, this was deemed a negligible hazard as most propellant is expected to combust, disperse into the atmosphere, or dissipate in the ocean within hours. All right, so so this is, again, about the report, which we already told you about, but the activists are saying they need more information. And again, it's the baseline. We don't know what's going to happen. We'd love to hear what happens when Braun gives a new report, but then it might be too late. We don't know. But let's continue to talk about it. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well.
My line of thinking is along the lines of the previous call before the last. I've not heard the rhetoric about why, because if you look on YouTube, it's exactly the same procedure that they did in the Gulf or in Florida. So why would they ask to leave there and come here? I haven't heard the guests who were on explaining the situation. Given that question, I think that's a hard question. That's a question who needs to be answered. How can we in the Bahamas do it better if they were forced out of the Gulf? Thanks, Dwight.
Okay. Again, I don't know if it's the same thing. I'm hearing all kinds of things based on these taking off in Florida as opposed to Texas, and why that's better for it to land this way as opposed to go back west. So, but yes, someone needs to explain that in a much better, more scientific way. Totally agree. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you there? Let's try the other line. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Good morning.
So tell me this. You know how much money our government, they talk about how much money will the government get for that? For the space ship to land?
We have not heard entirely. We heard that $1 million will be donated to UB, but people want a more detailed understanding of what the financials here.
Yeah, because I mean, at least if they can have something, at least they should get enough money to pave these roads.
I mean, really? Okay. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if they could that's something with it now, it can cause a big problem because now everyone. It was a nice thing to watch and everything, but now it can trickle down now, but people them can see how, because our government was fighting for sustainable energy and for to make sure that the ozone layer and everything. Our prime minister was a big thing in that. So I didn't even know. Wasn't going to think that he was going to let that happen.
Okay, it's a bit of a reach, I think, but I hear you. Paved roads, I don't know if that's how that works. But you got to do something in line with what the project's about, no? So, free Starlink for everybody. No? Or at least greatly reduced costs for it. No? Something like that, maybe, if you want to. But pave the road. Oh, wow. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning to you, Mr. Strachan.
Hi, good morning.
Mr. Strachan, a study has been done, and the study revealed that if every human being on this planet were to just stop doing all the violence and damaging the environment and just start living right and do everything right, the study has proven that it would take about 150 years for full restoration of humanity, the planet as it was at the beginning. That's quite interesting to see how we're not even on a path towards restoration. We just simply destroy an environment, and for benefiting a few. But I have a trivia one for you to think about. Obviously, Mr. Musk can pull Mr. Trump strings. Can you tell me who we have living in the Bahamas, probably equally as wealthy or more, pulling Mr. Davis's string?
I certainly would not know that.
I would give you a hint.
And I don't know if it's right to suggest that someone is doing that.
I would just stop right there and just wish you a wonderful day.
You are very trouble. You like to cause trouble. I don't know why, but yeah. We're going to take this final call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Nope. Okay. Let's read these messages as we get ready to go to the break. This person says here, I suggest the Water and Sewage Corporation closely monitor that sinkhole on Prince Charles over these repeated booms. So oh, okay. I still believe the original breach was related to ground movement associated with an earlier earthquake south of us. Good Lord. Okay. My theory is that the earthquake shifted sediment below the pipeline and put undue pressure on it at that location. Over time, the pipe formed cracks and then leaks and then collapsed. Back to SpaceX, all the way in NASA, something we were never warned about. That sonic boom sounded like a large explosion. It was certainly loud enough to cause ground vibrations and without a doubt affected BPL transmission in some ways as my lights dipped at the exact time. One of my electronic devices also had an unusual failure the next day. Related? I don't know. My conclusion, they don't know either. And we're all guinea pigs. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Now the water thing was a bit of a stretch, but the something I had an issue as well, which I only noticed the next day. I know it was definitely BPL related, but I had to reset the breaker and. Okay, we're going too far. No, I think we're going too far. Let me read some more messages as we go. This person says here, does the million go to the Consolidated Fund? It goes to UB, the University of the Bahamas. Yes, Mr. Strawn, at least free Starlink as an opening point and help to build the airport in Freeport. Are they going to be launching rockets at the airport in Freeport? I don't know. But I hear you. You need all the help you can get up there, right? All right. Yeah, is that caller there? Or are we going to... Yes, are you there before we go? No. Okay, let's go to the break. When we come back, we'll get back to retirees, more and more reaction to this. And young people up in arms as well about all of this. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
The blazing sunset in your eyes will tantalize every man who looks your way. I watch them sink before your gaze. Senorita, sway, dance with me before their frozen eyes. I'm so much in love, like a little soldier catching butterflies. No man loved like I love you. Wouldn't you like to love me too? In the heat of the morning, in the shadow I'll clip your wings, and I'll tell you I love you. In the heat of the morning.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
It is time for your first look at traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC. Find your loan solution with RBC. A reminder of the work on Cowpen Road, mainly between 9:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. That's going to be going on until about March 3rd. This is from Faith Avenue west on Cowpen. So you want to avoid the area if you can during those hours, 9:30 to 2:30 p.m. And if not, follow the posted traffic signs. In real-time traffic at this hour, as usual, Milo Butler Highway, heavy traffic from the Fire Trail roundabout to Tonic Williams Darling Highway if you're heading northbound. Traffic back to Boulogne, Tonic Williams Darling Highway, quite a bit. Westbound this morning. Not looking so bad at this hour on Blue Hill Road, manageable near Carmichael and north of Soldier Road. Just as you get closer to Independence Drive, you're going to be seeing that line of traffic in front of you getting over that hill as you're heading northbound. East Street also not looking so bad, just north of Soldier Road at this hour. A few schools on midterm, so things aren't horrible out there on the streets at this hour. It's real-time traffic and Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC. Start a conversation at rbc.com/loan/all of you. And it's time for another check of your weather, brought to you by Easy Car Sales. We've got a cold front. It's now over the central Bahamas. That's going to continue to move southeastwards with little fanfare. It's expected to then stall over the southeast Bahamas by tonight. Meanwhile, high pressure is going to build behind that front, supporting breezy conditions and cloudy skies into the weekend. We do have a near gale watch in effect for the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas. Strong high pressure is going to support some heavy breezy to windy conditions throughout the weekend, while this high-pressure system is going to shift eastwards. On Monday, a disturbance in the Gulf of Mexico, supporting a deep mid to upper-level trough, is going to move across the Florida Peninsula and move eastwards, dragging a frontal boundary across the northern Bahamas on Monday afternoon. Heavy showers, isolated thunderstorms, and an elevated risk of flooding possible across the country Monday afternoon into late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, as that disturbance moves northeastward. So quite a few days of heavy rain expected next week. High pressure is going to build behind that disturbance. In the meantime, beachgoers should stay out of Atlantic-exposed waters due to the high risk of rip currents and rough surf in northeasterly and easterly and northerly swells. Motorists should also be careful along coastal roadways. Today, we're looking at partly cloudy to cloudy conditions across most areas. Highs near 83, 84 Fahrenheit. That's 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 61 Fahrenheit, 16 Celsius for the northern islands. And for the rest of us, about 67 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. In your extended outlook, for Saturday, tomorrow, partly cloudy to cloudy, a 20 to 30% chance of isolated showers, mainly across the central and southeast Bahamas. Sunday, partly sunny across the northern and northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy over the central and southeast Bahamas. Then changes for Monday, cloudy across the northern and northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy for the rest of the country. And by Tuesday, variably cloudy, and an increase in the chance of rains, especially Monday into Tuesday, up to 60% chance of showers by Tuesday. Keep that in mind for next week. That's your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Easy Car Sales. Looking to spark something this month of love? We'll test drive the hottest electric vehicles in the market from Easy Car Sales and enter to win a chance for a 2-night stay at the Grand Hyatt with a $500 resort credit. Visit easy242.com and start a new romance with an electric vehicle from Easy Car Sales.
I meet him in the showroom. I said, Pinda, I just come out of a showroom in Portugal, and let me tell you something, them showroom and selection ain't got nothing on yours. Man, I like this stock of porcelain and ceramic tile you got here. What I really like is the range of sizes that come in, 8 by 48, 12 by 24, 24 by 24, and what I really like, more than the things I really like, is the price. From $275 a square foot to $494 a square foot, and all in between. You can't beat that, not even with a 2x4 from Enterprises.
RBC. Life is full of twists, turns, and defining moments that create your own unique story. However your story unfolds, we're here to help guide you through it. From every big decision to every new adventure, RBC. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you.
Spain sounds like this. But with a little Caribbean, it can sound like this. The world needs more Caribbean. And with FedEx, you can ship your products to every corner with increased cargo capabilities, 24/7 shipment tracking, and shipping tools. Take your business worldwide and enjoy life a bit more like us.
In the world of business, technology is not a choice, it's a necessity. And for businesses that demand excellence, there's only one choice for unparalleled support and cutting-edge technology. Custom Computers. You have challenges and we have solutions. Computing, networking, storage, and printing for enterprises large and small, aligned with premium brands like HP, Microsoft, Konica Minolta, and more. Get tech done the right way with Custom Computers. Call the know-how team at 396-1101.
What if I told you Wendy's has a new burger? With a flavor so secret, it's almost too delicious to handle. Well, now it's time to unlock that flavor. Try the new sweet and smoky barbecue cheeseburger. We can't tell you everything, but we can tell you that it's packed with flavor, including our secret barbecue sauce. Try the new sweet and smoky barbecue cheeseburger today. Available for a limited time.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
Every day in a busy world, we have to do so much. Bank with CIBC and get that personal touch. Share your ambitions, let us help your dreams come true. At CIBC, you're at the heart of all we do. We're on your side, we're listening, we know the way you feel. CIBC, ambitions made real.
On Saturday, February 22nd, 2025 at 7 p.m., the Bahamasair Convention Center will set the stage for an unforgettable celebration of 25 years of giving back and supporting healthcare education in the Bahamas. Experience a night of excitement with exquisite fine dining, captivating live entertainment, and an inspiring atmosphere as we come together to celebrate and shape a brighter, healthier future. Tickets are available now. Reserve your spot today by emailing dhfoundation@doctorshosp.com or calling 242-302-4640. Sponsorship opportunities are also available to show your support for this important cause. The Doctors Hospital Meyer Rassin Foundation. 25 years of transforming healthcare and building a legacy. Don't miss this special celebration.
You ready to elevate your day with a burst of flavor? Look no further than Dunkin', your ultimate destination for everything delicious. From our freshly brewed coffee that is sure to pick you up, to our signature frozen beverages that will cool you down. And don't forget our mouth-watering sandwiches, made to order all day. Dunkin' has it all. And of course, our lineup of fresh donuts, muffins, and more. Dive into a world of yummy flavors at Dunkin' and bring joy to your day. The Bahamas runs on Dunkin'.
Bahamas. Join Sherwin Gardner for the Find Me Here album launch on February 28th, 7 p.m. at Bahamas Harvest Church, JFK Plaza. Featuring from the USA, Kalante Gavin and Kateri B. and Positive from TNT. This will be one epic night full of blessings. Get tickets at a live events app or Bahamas Harvest Church and SherwinGardner.com. A blessing's gonna find you here. Powered by Alive.
It's the lottery of love that everybody wins.
I love you.
Everybody Wins is giving away over $100,000 in cash prizes in the Lottery of Love.
I love you.
All February long, every $20 spent, you'll receive a raffle ticket. The more you spend, the more chances to win. And you could be among the 30 winners randomly selected on February 28th to win $10, $20, or even $30,000.
I love you.
It's the Lottery of Love at Everybody Wins. Remember to game responsibly and get ready to win.
RBC. Life is full of twists, turns, and defining moments that create your own unique story. However your story unfolds, we're here to help guide you through it. From every big decision to every new adventure, RBC. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you.
And the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look.
We're back with Morning Blend. We're going to go to news in less than a minute, but I just want to read this text as we go here. This texter says, with 20 of these landings expected this year, and 19 more, I would like to know what is the impact on our marine life. That sound, that loud sound traveled even to New Providence. That must have traveled through the sea as well. I believe the marine life were also shocked and ran for cover. Will they keep running? Well, running, hey? Sure. We'll see. We got a lot more to talk about after the news. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Know they boyfriend got one or two sweetheart, but she ain't freaking out because she got a white man. Some women know their husband got one or two sweetheart, but she ain't freaking out because she got a white man.
Okay, first thing 9 a.m. The white boyfriend got a checklist, wait for you to come sign in. Then ask if you had breakfast. She probably gon' say no, even though her man cook a sausage, bacon, egg, and grits. White man made her forgot this. Lunchtime he gon' slide up, crack some joke inside her office. Compliment about her bongi, say that look like the softness. Now it's 4 minutes to 5. He say, come miss, let me hug this. Then smell a sweet perfume. She say, you know that I love this. So if she need a ride, right there, shoulder to cry, right there, 100 off.
Well, come back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strong with you on this Friday morning. Just reminding you about 242 Day. The countdown is on. It is Monday this year, the 24th day of the second month, February. Show your Bahamian pride on 242 Day, this uniquely Bahamian day. Fly Bahamian flags, wear Bahamian flag colors, eat Bahamian foods, donate in sequences of 242, have fun, do something on 242 Day to show how much you love the Bahamas. All right, so we continue with what's in the news, folks. And, so there's been a lot of reaction to the rehires conversation, the explanation from the government. People, mixed views, to say the least, on what's happening here. For the latest on this ongoing controversy, take a listen to this report from our Jared Higgs. Going to get that report going for you in just a second. All right, let's get that report for you going right now.
BUT President Belinda Wilson says while she supports the rehiring of retired teachers, especially in subject areas where there are shortages, she's compelled to speak out against a number of senior public officers who have been rehired. Her comments come a day after Minister of Labor and the Public Service Peter Glover-Roll announced that 491 retired public servants have been re-engaged, with most of them also receiving their pensions.
Payment of all unused accumulated vacation leave, a vehicle, a cell phone, and a 15% gratuity at the end of the contract. Bear in mind that these re-employed public servants already received gratuities and pensions. And in addition to these lucrative contracts, their pensions continue.
Some members of the public have expressed outrage over the hires, arguing that young people are being overlooked for opportunities in the public service. Wilson says teachers are still waiting for money they say is owed to them.
Sadly, hundreds of teachers who have already worked are still awaiting salary increases, increments, responsibility allowances, rental allowance increases, and much, much more. Surely, this cannot be fair. In fact, it is egregious.
Director of Communications in the Office of the Prime Minister, Latrey Raming, insisted today that the retired public servants who were re-engaged by the government are filling critical gaps in the public service. He said those re-engaged include teachers and law enforcement officers, among others.
The truth of the matter is this administration have a number of young people serving throughout government that we are proud of, especially in the foreign service. We have a number of young persons who are leading key government institutions through rank and file. We have young persons serving in law enforcement, armed enforcement agencies. So the idea that that the opposition want to push that young people and give them a chance is absolutely not true. I work with young people across government in delivering essential and important services on behalf of the Bahamian people.
But union leaders like BPSU President Kimsley Ferguson sees things another way.
I don't think that it was necessary to hire 480-something because we don't have that many permanent secretaries. We don't have that many directors. I am of the view that these were political appointments where these persons were hired as payment for support of a particular administration, and it happens under successive administrations.
As for Wilson, she's calling for government to freeze hiring on senior public servants for the next 6 months, and for government to review the public officers and their qualifications.
Promote deserving public servants to senior positions, which many of them have been waiting for the opportunity for years and years. And yes, many of them are qualified. 4, use the money from the bloated contracts of re-employed senior public servants to pay outstanding monies owed to hundreds of teachers and other public servants.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I am Jared Higgs.
All right, let's get your reaction to it, folks. We had a bit to say about it yesterday, but since then we've been hearing more and more of these comments, young people giving their experiences, saying what's happened to them when they tried to get seek employment in the public service and how difficult it was, or they're still waiting to hear back from somebody. And just wondering, is this the reason? Because there are older individuals blocking the hustle. Let's get your views on it. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Call us toll free. 242-300-5720. Caller, good morning. Hi, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Dwight.
Hi, yes, you're on the air.
Dwight,
Hi.
I am trying to understand the government standpoint, and I'm also trying to understand what Fred Mitchell said. Everybody knows that the public service when you go to work, it's very robotic. You do the same thing almost every day. It's very, very robotic. Turn the radio down for me. And so for me, when they talk about skill set, okay, you have certain persons in the public service that are doing 3 and 4 jobs of one individual. That's been going on for years and years and years. I could understand them saying that there's a gap between upper management and line staff. And that is because they've just not been giving out the promotions. They've just not been elevating persons and calling it skill set, or where it's because they don't have a degree, but the people are doing the work. They don't have the degrees. They don't have the paperwork that they are saying that these individuals are supposed to have, but they are doing the work. So you bring in retirees, and I'm going to use the word grandmothers and grandfathers, that Fred Mitchell said, which is laughable to me, and you have young persons who are just coming out of school, fresh in their mind with all their skills that they have, but you're going to bring persons in who've been out of school for more than 40 years to come in and say they're now bridging the gap when it comes to skill set. So it's just laughable with the way that they word things, but every day, every government office is offering a service, and it's very robotic. So even if you didn't have the skill set, even if you didn't have the experience, because you're doing the same thing every day, repeatedly the same thing, you almost could do it with your eyes closed. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's my 5 cents about it, and it's just hogwash, and it's craziness, and it's foolishness.
So you're not buying it at all?
No.
No. Wow. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-425. Calls toll free 242-300-5720. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning to you, Dwight. Can I just weigh on what the lady just said?
Sure.
More important, please. I would like for our country to really take a look at what these politicians are doing. And I agree with the lady. Old people, stay home. Stay home. Let the young people go and experience our country in the way that we once did when we were young. And I think this is just outrageous. And this Peter Glover, listen, fire that man. Fire him. In fact, Dwight, please, when y'all doing this now on the radio, let's start talking about change, man. Change have to come in this country, please, man. We have to, Bahamians, we have to change our country.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It says old people stay home. Wow. Well, Fred Mitchell says they're the ones taking care of the young people because their parents died from back in the 80s. Okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Dwight, this is the reason why we have what they call this drain brain in this country. You've got young people who I'm sure are capable of doing these jobs. All they need is the training. They probably know how to do it more effectively and more efficiently, but yet they keep on hiring these or rehiring these same old people over and over again. And I was reading something where Belinda said persons were being paid up to $104,000 a year plus perks. Do you have any idea that salary right there could hire at least about 2 or 3 persons just returning from college, right? To me, this is ridiculous. I was having this conversation the other day with this lady, and I was telling her, when my daughter finished school, I didn't tell her, no need to come back because there's nothing here for her. And she was like, why you got to come back and help build the country? But how are you going to help build a country where the old people, the old crew, the Moses crew, like JJ just called them, they will not get out of the way and give young people a chance? This is just absolutely ridiculous. And anybody who tried to justify this, whether it be Latrey, whether it be Fred, whether it be Brave themselves, they have to stop talking nonsense and realize this is nonsense. This is why our country is not moving forward. Same old dinosaurs doing the same old work that they used to do when they was there, when they were younger. And my question is this. Why in God's name would you want to be on anybody's job for more than 40 years? Anyhow, that doesn't even make no sense to me.
Okay. All right. Well, some people like stability and familiarity, right? So I don't know. Caller will get to you in a second. This texter says here, if that woman is doing the same, this is the caller they're talking about, if that woman is doing the same thing every day, then clearly she is one of the customer service frontline persons. For those in management, the work is certainly not robotic. For my 11 years in government, every year I have had new projects that stretch my imagination and find new solutions. Okay, well, good for you. That's fantastic. All right. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Strachan. Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I wonder, that person who texted just now, I wonder what area of government they work in, Mr. Strachan.
Well, an exciting part.
Yeah, with all that innovation and all the different things they had to come up with, I wonder where they work in. They must be the speechwriter for the Prime Minister, don't they?
Well, I wouldn't know.
Where they have to come up with creative stories, you know what I mean? Anyhow, we could talk in foolishness.
Oh, gosh. I'm sure there's somebody who's got something fun to do in the government.
I think so.
There must be somebody who has some fun in the government.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that message they send, and they live in it anyhow. But the lady who was talking about the robotic thing, if she's making the point that I was thinking about, she hit the nail on the head, right? Because when you go into these government offices, Dwight, it's basically the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? If you work in a certain department, if you sit at a certain desk, what come on your desk, like if your job is to stamp documents, you know what I mean? Whatever come on your desk, that's your job. You stamp it, you pass it on to somebody else, they sign it. It is just, you know what I mean? It's like a machine. It's like she said, it's like a robotic thing. It's nothing that requires, like other texts that talk about innovation and on the job, like impromptu thinking and all these different things that you have to come up with. It doesn't require all of that. It's just basic skills that you go in there and you just learn to do the same thing over and over again. It's routine. So these skills that these people are supposed to come back that only they have, that's imaginary, Dwight. You know what I mean? That's imaginary because, like I said before, when you go on these government jobs, Dwight, you could go on a government job right now. They could sit you down at a desk and they could teach you what person to do, and you were the person who could understand basic, like, you know, follow instructions. You could just do it. You know what I mean? These government jobs don't require any special attributes. I mean, look at our politicians. They be MP. You don't even know.
I don't think all are like that. All can't be like that. I'm sure there are quite a few. Quite a few.
Right. What I'm saying, Dwight, is no matter how high the level is, no matter what the level is of your job, right? Because just now we were cracking on the person who talking about their government job requires them to be innovative.
Mm-hmm.
You understand where I'm coming from? So it just goes to show the way that every department, I work in a bank before, right? And when I go to the bank, I sit down and they show me what I got to do when I sit in here. Okay, I learned that it's nothing that you have to bring extra to the job. All you have to do.
But there are policymakers. There are policymakers in the ministry, though. I mean, so there will be people who won't have that experience.
Almost 500 of them, Dwight.
Well, I don't know. But it won't all be the robot type work. It's not possible.
But the gentleman who called just now, Dwight, I mean, see, man, Dwight, man, we gotta stop this little merry-go-round, so because these people have us on, man. You know, we gotta jump off. Like, you know, people they say people only can ride your back. If you're bending over when you stand up, they can't ride your back no more. You need to stand up, man, Dwight, man.
Okay.
I mean, look at it making fools out of us.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. All right, some text. Yeah, let's take this final call, and then we're going to move on. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Great show as usual, Dwight. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Turn on the radio for us, please.
I don't think that the PM, personally, the decision he made came from a bad space. He probably was thinking that to try to take care of the elderly people based on the fact on the bills and everything. But the problem, what he wasn't thinking about is going to create a very bad working environment because the people who was owed all the back pay and all the increments and everything, right? If you think that you're getting bad service on the government now, you're going to really be getting bad service because the people then are not going to do any work because they're going to feel as though that they're not properly paid. And in government sector, a lot of people don't know if you work by 12 or 1 o'clock, it's considered a full day. So most people might utilize that on just knocking off 1 o'clock. So when you go to government institutions, you'd actually find no one there.
Wow. Okay. You all are making this sound really, really awful. I mean, we know it's not the best, but good Lord. Okay, so it's robots and they get off by 1 o'clock. These textures, as we go to the break, this person says here, the technical workers are not the ones they brought back. Okay. This one says here, Fred Mitchell can't be serious. We have more than qualified teachers currently sitting home, along with other young professionals in this country that could use the work or that can do the work. This man just wants all his old friends to get a job so he can feel comfortable when he's walking around in these offices. Okay, well, that's a bit much there. This person says here, in 3.5 years, no one could be trained to take over immigration. That is assuming no one was there at the time they brought the retiree back. They're, again, very specific now. I don't know about these 500 people, but there are all kinds of technical experts in government. Remember getting into real specific stuff here. But yes, they bring this. So there are technocrats indeed. Okay. And if that person is performing so many innovative projects in government, where is the evidence on the ground? We're not feeling it out here. So please let them clue us in. Well, just because you present your innovative work to the government doesn't mean they're going to take it and do it. Right? But they're working on a project and they're like, oh, this is nice. Thank you very much. And put it on the ground next to the pile of the other things. So that happens a lot. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, a whole lot more to talk about, including Bahamas Hope Challenge, what you need to know about this year's event. When we return here, this is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Because she got a white man, some women know their husband got one or two sweetheart, but she ain't freaking out because she got a white man.
Okay, first thing 9 a.m. The white boyfriend got a checklist, wait for you to come sign in. Then ask if you had breakfast. She probably gon' say no, even though her man cook a sausages, bacon, egg, and grits. White man made her forgot this. Lunchtime he gon' slide up, crack some joke inside her office. Compliment about her bongi, say that look like the softness. Now it's 4 minutes to...
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Are you ready to break up with your car? Easy Car Sales invites you to fall in love with an electric vehicle. Ditch the gas pump, the expensive mechanics. Feel the freedom, the power. Visit easy242.com and make a date to test drive an electric vehicle today. Get into a better relationship. Find your perfect match at Easy Car Sales and drive electric happily ever after.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello. This Epic Eckert battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
Attention, valued customers of the Water and Sewage Corporation. We wish to inform you that our office at the Mall of Marathon will be closing on Friday, February 28th, 2025. But don't worry. We are making it easy for you to continue managing your accounts with us from the comfort of your home or on the go. We encourage you to take advantage of our convenient digital payment options. Visit our website at wsc.com.bs to make payments securely. Call us at 302-5630 to pay by phone or use your preferred financial institution to pay directly. Switching to these online options helps you save time and ensures you never miss a payment. We are here to make your experience as smooth and easy as possible. Thank you for being a valued customer, and we look forward to serving you in new ways.
Every day in a busy world, we have to do so much. Bank with CIBC and get that personal touch. Share your ambitions, let us help your dreams come true. At CIBC, you're at the heart of all we do. We're on your side, we're listening, we know the way you feel. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Dominican Republic, destination for the team. When an all-expense paid trip for 2 by signing 3. Or more money transfers to enter with a deal. With Western Union, you get to see just how it feels. Yeah. Esto está caliente. De baridas, really hard to Hola, hola from the DR. Taking pictures for the gram just to show you we are. GK money be the motion, papi, mamacita. Go to Chris Kennedy, the team is ready to start because Dominican Republic, destination for the team. With an all-expense paid trip for 2 by signing 3. Or more money transfers to enter, what a deal. With Western Union, you get to see just how it feels, yeah. To see just how it feels, yeah. With Western Union.
Sherwin-Williams Bahamas doesn't mess about when it comes to product range and product knowledge.
If it's a new product come in the store, we walk the store and study that product.
One thing with our boss, if a new product comes in, he takes the time and he's always keeping us up to date with product knowledge. And we just had 9 weeks of different products that we had to study, and we had exams at the end of each product.
Yeah.
The only way we can sell the product effective, we have to know that product. Yeah, that helps us to relate to our customers. It gives us better knowledge to know what product to introduce to them. You understand? So we can know what product to give them to use and what product not to give them to use. So product knowledge is really key in Sherwin-Williams.
They got the keys. And the key is the product knowledge that comes with our extensive product range at Sherwin-Williams Paints, Bahamas. Find color in every day.
Got your final look at weather for the morning, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Here's what's happening. We've got a lot of changes coming. Right now, there's a cold front across the central Bahamas that's going to move into the southeast Bahamas by tonight. A little fanfare with this one. High pressure is going to build behind the front, supporting some breezy conditions and cloudy skies. But strong high pressure will continue to support breezy to windy conditions across the Bahamas throughout the weekend. On Monday, disturbance in the Gulf of Mexico, supported by a deepening mid to upper level trough, will cross the Florida peninsula and move eastwards, dragging a front boundary across northern Bahamas Monday afternoon. Heavy showers, isolated thunderstorms, and an elevated risk of flooding possible across the country by Monday afternoon, well into early Wednesday morning. As that disturbance moves through, high pressure is going to build behind it. In the meantime, we've got a near gale watch in effect for the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas, and beachgoers should stay out of Atlantic exposed waters due to high risk of rip currents and rough surf in northerly and northeasterly swells. Motorists should exercise caution along Atlantic and eastern coastal roadways as well. So for today, partly cloudy to cloudy for most areas, highs in the low to mid 80s, lows in the mid 60s for most parts, in the lower 60s for the northern islands. For your weekend, for Saturday, partly cloudy to cloudy, about a 20 to 30% chance of isolated showers in the central and southeast Bahamas. By Sunday, partly sunny across the northern and northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy over the central and southeastern islands. Monday, cloudy across the northern and northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy across the central islands, and sunny in the southeast Bahamas. And then we've got some changes. So 20 to 30% chance of showers with isolated thunderstorms across the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas on Monday, increasing to 50 to 70% chance of heavy showers in the afternoon hours into the night across the northwest and northern Bahamas. Into Tuesday, variably cloudy and a 40 to 60% chance of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms across the northern and northwest Bahamas, 30 to 50% chance of scattered showers for the central islands, 20% for the southeastern islands. We're expecting gusty conditions as well as that powerful front moves through, so keep that in mind for the start of your work week next week. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Sherwin-Williams Paints got you covered for all your painting and equipment needs. Visit Sherwin-Williams Paints online or in store today. And we've got your final look at traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC. Find your loan solution with RBC. Quite a few schools closed for midterm, so we're not seeing the traffic patterns we normally see at this hour on a Friday. But you're going to be seeing some heavy traffic on Tawny-Williams-Darling Highway. That's mainly westbound to the roundabout with Milo Butler Highway. That's heavy there from just west of Bahamas Games Boulevard, straight up to the roundabout. So keep that in mind if you're in that part of the island. Elsewhere, just a bit of congestion downtown, head near Nassau Street if you're heading into downtown on West Bay Street. And pockets along Wolf Road, especially Wolf Road westbound to Blue Hill Road, some slow-moving traffic there. But manageable elsewhere this morning. That's real-time traffic and your Morning Blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC. Start a conversation at rbc.com/loan/all of you.
If I could live my life far into yesterday, I'll talk with the great Pompey and Black Dick too. Oh, I'll chat with the Milo Butler and the great C.R. Walker, Sir Cecil Wallace Whitfield. I'll say, how do you do, yeah. I'll find
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strong with you on this Friday morning, and it is Bahamas Hope Challenge time again. Here to talk about it as the countdown is on to the big event in just a few weeks. We've got Jeffrey Beckles with us. Good morning, sir. Get close to that mic there, and you can prop that up a little bit so it's right in your
Bahamas.
face.
Hope
There you
everybody's
go.
well.
Good to see you.
Always a pleasure.
All right, so you've taken part in how many of these? Every single one?
This is my 16th ride.
Wow.
It's been a real pleasure to be a part of this effort. As we know, the cancer bug is a real contentious issue for Bahamians, challenging our healthcare systems, and individuals and families have been walking through this nightmare for years. And so I decided that every Bahamian ought to have a cause, right? And about 20 years ago, I adopted this one as my cause. And so I've been riding ever since, and I'm excited about going back to Luther this year to try and make a difference. And if we only make a difference in one person's life, then we've made a huge difference.
Wow. All right. So there's a lot to talk about here. This was known as Ride for Hope.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So tell us about that, the change, and then we'll get into what exactly you.
Well, like everything else evolves. Ride for Hope is still our mantra. But we wanted to also expand it to where it became a real Bahamas challenge. And by doing that, we invited foreign riders. We really wanted to expand the participation and form partnerships with other jurisdictions who have a similar cause. A couple of years ago, we attempted a partnership with the Miami Dolphins. Wow. You know, they just had their event. In fact, they're having their event this weekend.
Okay.
And they came and partnered with us. But the reality of it is, when we realized how many Bahamians actually leave Nassau, leave the Bahamas to go to Florida for cancer treatment in particular, that's a lot of people. 5 out of every 10 seats on Bahamasair are medically related.
My goodness.
That's a lot of seats. Many of those are going to Florida for cancer treatment. So when you think of the fact that you have half of the Bahamas are dolphin fans, for instance, right?
You sure is that
We got
right?
a lot of Bahamians living in Florida. We have a lot of Bahamians going to Florida for cancer treatment. Why not look at a way to build this community and strengthen the community? Because those are all realities. Bahamians are there. Bahamians are dolphin fans. Bahamians are, going for cancer treatment. So when we decided to make it a Bahamas Hope Challenge, it was broadening our view of how we can get more people to participate, to bring hope to Bahamians. I mean, we're about a little over 1,800 women that we have helped in the Family Island mammogram program, where otherwise they would have not had access to a mammogram. 1,800 Bahamian women is a lot, but the cost of that, like everything else, keeps going up. So we're driven by a need, which we've converted into a cause. And we really want to encourage more and more Bahamians to get involved. You say, well, I don't ride a bike. Well, that's true. You could walk. And we expanded it to include more than just cyclists. You can walk, you can run, you can volunteer, or you could simply donate. And so there are many ways in which Bahamians can really get involved in making this work, because the truth of the matter is, every day we are finding out another Bahamian who's stricken with cancer in some form.
Yeah.
Which means that our reality is just that. It's a reality.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, fundraising is a big part of this. You just don't pay to take part. You are raising money.
Yes. You register. There's a registration fee. Right now it's $85. We did have it as low as $50 several months ago. You make a commitment once you register that I'll raise $500. For many people, we've got, I start early. I mean, I start 6 months ahead of time, right? So I don't get stuck, right? In which we say to people, look, start early. If $500 seems like a lot, you'll be shocked. If you start early, then it's nothing. You find yourself raising $1,500, right? And some may say it's expensive, but the reality of it, all of that money goes to the cause, right? Cancer is very expensive, right? Just ask someone who's in the fight. And so, each year we've challenged ourselves to raise more and more money. My goal this year is $10,000 as an individual.
You personally?
Me, Jeffrey Beckles.
Okay.
My goal is $10,000. Last year I challenged myself with $8,500 and I beat it. And I wanted to stretch it a little bit a year. Why? Because at the end of the day, when I push myself, I think of those struggling with cancer. And obviously the hills in Eleuthera are no comparison. I mean, to me and you, they're like, wow, they seem like a mountain. But every time I get to a hill and realize I have to climb this hill, I think of the person struggling with cancer.
My goodness.
And that encourages me to keep pedaling. So that's what I do. It's my cause. I love it. I encourage Bahamians to get involved. I think the volunteers and the workers and the sponsors have been very helpful over the years, and we want to grow it, and we want people to really get involved. One unique thing this year, we have a same day. If you don't want to go for the weekend, and we encourage people to go to the weekend, because, the car rentals, the hotels, the restaurants, they benefit from our presence there. But if you can't go for the weekend, you can go for the day. It's only $50 round trip. I mean, you can't beat that, right? So we find ways to make it possible for Bahamians to get involved.
Yeah. All right. So how many people did you have participate last year?
Last year we had a little over 300.
Okay.
We're hoping to be able to beat that this year. We know things are changing for people, and it's a reality. But as we said, with the amount of Bahamians that are struggling with this issue, we feel that this is a little bit of a sacrifice that we could make on behalf of our brothers and sisters here in the Bahamas.
Wow. Okay. All right. So let people know how this works. You talk about the one day that you could do, but it's basically a whole weekend.
It's a whole weekend. We go on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of March. We ride on the 8th. And we start early and get the weather looks like it's going to be great. If you want to go for the weekend, obviously you book your flight early, right? And book a place to stay. And people, listen, the merchants in Eleuthera enjoy when we're there because we're spending real money in our economy. But if you don't want to go for the day, you can register and you can sign up for the one-day flight on Bahamas. And we certainly thank Bahamasair for being a great partner of the Bahamas Hope Challenge. And they provide that flight at a good rate for us, so we can, $50. I mean, regularly you'll pay $260 to get to Eleuthera round trip, but we've gotten a good deal with them, and it's $50 a person round trip. So you can leave here.
So you have to say that you're taking part in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 o'clock in the morning, and the flight returns at 6 or 7 in the evening. You're back home the same day.
Right.
It's a good opportunity.
Wow. So, what time is the event on
The
Saturday?
event on that Saturday on the 8th, we start at 8 o'clock, and the route is fully manned. We thank our volunteers. There's food, fit for riders. That is, you're not going to get crack conk on the route,
Right.
But it's fully manned with a lot of our liquid refreshments that riders would need: water and Gatorade, and you can get your food as you go along: bananas and peanut butter and bread. People go, peanut butter and bread. Well, that's the food of cyclists, right?
definitely need that.
and runners, they know what that means to
Potassium
them. So,
there.
It's really. It's a premium event. The swag bag on registration is a premium bag. I mean, I've gone to cycling events all around North America, and I believe that our swag bag is certainly, it beats what we found in Miami. I'll tell you that.
Wow.
Orlando, Atlanta, we do have a premium bag. So it's really we reward our participants, and then we have a great high carb event on Friday night, and then at the end of the ride. There's lunch, there's entertainment, and then on Sunday morning there's a wonderful breakfast. You get boiled fish, stew fish. It's really stew conch. It's really good to participate. So yeah,
This is all included.
all included,
Yeah, okay.
except for the breakfast on if you are signing up. You get included in the breakfast. If you want to bring a guest, then obviously you pay a little extra. It's as little as $25, and you're not going to get boiled fish for $25. Not even here now. Sorry, but
It's tough.
It's great. Yeah.
So, is it hard finding accommodations, especially with so many people taking part?
The earlier, the better. And Eleuthera is one of those islands that's doing pretty well in the Airbnb space. It's doing pretty well. The hotels are there. And obviously, we're in the season, so we try to encourage persons to book early. We booked ours about a month and a half ago, just around Christmas. And so for our 2 nights there. So, yeah, we're in good shape. And by the way, there are many vendors in Eleuthera who are in the Airbnb space, and they're just thrilled to have a phone call to say, hey, look, I want to book my 2 nights, in March. So yes, we encourage people to book early.
All right, lots of questions for you, Jeffrey Beckles. All right, so what's the route?
The route out of Coco de Bahama there in Eleuthera, we take...
Where's that exactly?
Just south of the airport, sorry.
Which airport?
Governors. Yeah, into the Governors. Sorry, we're not going to take you to north until you're right to south to Roxanne, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and
So you're sticking to central and heading south. Is that right?
For the 100 milers, you will head. We used to head south, but now we're going to do 2 laps. So we'll go north.
Oh,
right,
wow.
And make it a little bit more scenic. Then it allows us the ability for the shorter route riders to see their fellow riders who are riding a longer distance.
Okay.
They get to see them during their ride as well. Because one of the things we want to do is really encourage cyclists to see each other on the route. But we go north, and it's a great route up to Glass Window and back. And then
So you will have to tackle the hills.
Oh, we will have to tackle the hills. There's no doubt. The hills are part of the experience. It's a scenic route, yes, but the hills.
Remember where it used to be in the north?
I know.
Only the north.
Yeah.
Those hills.
By the way, are you coming back? When are you coming back?
It's been a while.
It's been a while, right?
We'll talk about it a little bit later.
Guardian needs a rider. And if Dwight's not going to ride, then you need to make sure Guardian sponsors me this year, right? But yeah, I'll ride for Guardian. I have no problem doing that. But it's scenic. It's beautiful. You have one side, zero entry into the water. The other side is the beauty of the ocean. But the hills are a part of the experience that remind us of the uphill fight that thousands of Bahamians, Dwight, every day are fighting this uphill battle with cancer. And so we put the hills in there to help remind us who are in good health that our brothers and sisters need our help getting up that hill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, so you're going to go from Governors, the airport, up to the Glass Window, and then back.
Right, yes.
And that's
And you do that twice.
Twice?
This year, yeah.
That's the
It's
100 miles.
Those who are doing less will get that route will not go all the way up if you're doing 30 or 50 miles, but it's a good route.
No.
It's a really good route.
Okay, but as you
Good
said,
route.
that's a very picturesque ride there. It's
It is.
beautiful.
Every time I go, it's one of my favorite places to go,
Yeah.
and the photos get better every year.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. So, what's the lowest you can do on a bike? What's the fewest number of miles?
The idea is do as little as you need.
Okay.
The idea is to participate. So if you only want to do 10 miles on your bike or 20 miles on your bike, 30 miles, 50 miles, up to you. The idea is to get involved, and this is something that every Bahamian can get involved in and to make a difference.
So, if you're doing the one day, how do you get your bike over there?
There's a drop-off 3 days before the event, from beginning Monday, the week before the event, Monday, Tuesday, you drop off your bike to Odyssey or Cycles Unlimited, and Cycles has been a good partner of ours
You
over
can
the
do it at
years.
Cycles as well,
Yes.
in Harbor Bay.
And then the day after the event is done, the following Monday, your bike is available for pickup.
Okay.
So you don't need to be concerned about traveling or packing your bike. You just drop it off to one of the drop-off sites at either Odyssey or Cycles, and off you go.
Excellent.
The only thing you have to do is pack your cycling shorts and your shoes and be ready to ride.
There you go. There you go. Now, if you are running or doing something other than biking, what do you need to know?
Well, again, it's the same process of signing up. You register, you make your commitment, and if you want to take that one-day flight, fine. It's open to you. You want to get there, because the flight's early enough to give you time to warm up. And, we've had folks who run whole 26 miles, in Eleuthera. And so the process is the same, you just don't have a bike. Yeah.
Well, all right, so tell people what to do to sign up.
Go to our website at BahamasHopeChallenge.com. Registration is still open. You can sign up today. If you wish to contact Dwight, I'll leave my details with Dwight. If you want to sponsor or make a donation, we have a secure sponsor link that I will leave with Dwight, and he can share that with you. So you can just feel free to call the station. But we really want you to get involved. I'll give you a quick story as we end. I was at a certain place the other day, and somebody said to me, "Hey, Beckles, you still riding your bike?" I said, "Yes." And an older lady was coming out of her chemo. And she says, "Are you one of those that come to Freeport? I mean, to Eleuthera?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I come every year. I've been coming for the last 15 years. And she says, "You know what? You're making a difference." And she said, "I'm going to give you $20 towards your next ride." And I said, "No, ma'am, I'm doing it for you." She says, "Yeah, but you know what? There's somebody after me." And she gave me her $20. For me, that was like she gave me $20,000, because here she is coming out of her chemo, didn't expect this interaction, but in her view, you're helping somebody else, I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
And that's what we really want. We want to build a community where we care enough to get involved. And listen, if you only have $20 to give, it's $20 we didn't have.
That's a great story.
When you're looking up the hill and down the barrel of a $7,000 treatment, for one round of treatment, trust me, that $20 helps.
Great stuff that you're doing, Jeff. All right, so for folks who want to do it, they're hearing you talk about this and getting excited. They haven't ridden a bike in maybe a little while, and they're like, "I want to do this. Give me some tips."
Well, if for this short notice, make sure you have the right pants. Right, buy a set of cycling pants. Go and buy those, some Cycles Unlimited, and commit yourself to a shorter route. Remember, we ride for the cause. We want to be the cause. Right?
And don't let peer pressure influence you to go further than you can.
If you can only do 10 miles on the bike, and guess what? It's not, you could stop after 5 miles, rest yourself at one of the rest stations, and then ride the 5 miles back. It's at your pace. It's not a race.
Right.
It's not a race. And so we want people to do it. So if you're a novice rider, there's time for you. You can get the most important thing: buy a good pair of cycling pants, buy a helmet, because we won't let you ride without a helmet. And then pace yourself for a very short ride. But what's important is that you get involved.
Yeah. And it's fun to go with groups. Get your friends
get
together.
your friends together. Get your colleagues from work. It's not too late. We still have space on the charter. And there are a number of other airlines that run to governors. You can get on those, but you got to sign up today because time is running out, because space is limited on flights as well as places to stay.
Definitely. One more time, let people know where they can find more information. And
Bahamashopechallenge.com. And like I said, I will leave my contact information here with Dwight. If you wish to call the station, Dwight will give you my link and all the information if you want to make a donation. Every penny counts. We look forward to your support.
Got an interesting question here. Somebody's asking, what if you don't have a bike but you want to ride a bike? Can you rent a bike?
You can rent a bike, ride it cycles. Maria and those got a bunch of bikes up there. The most important thing is make sure you go there physically, because bike fitting is important. Rent a bike that fits your size, your frame. But she's got a lot of bikes, and get on board. So get on board today. Sign up. Go see Maria at Cycles and rent a bike. Let's go.
Jeff, you got me excited. I almost want to do it. I got something else to do that weekend.
You got to do it.
But
listen,
I'm
available.
going to make a commitment for next year.
And if you want to, by the way, if you have someone that you want to make a donation in memory of, I typically put names on my shirt, and if I don't have enough space on my jersey, I put them in my pocket. If you want to have someone who's in memory of, or someone who's in the fight, or who actually won the fight, I'll put their names on my jersey or in my shirt, and it's on their behalf I will cycle this year.
That is a great idea. Wonderful stuff. Bahamas Hope Challenge. Keep the great work that you are doing, Jeffrey Beckles, and that everybody associated with Bahamas Hope Challenge is doing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you all.
We're going to take a break for news and be back with Morning Blend Business, a special edition of it with Chris Davis on Black History Month. Stay tuned.
Them Papa go Conky Joe. Oh, how I love them so they know. Yes! How Bahamian go. Yeah, they know. How my people go. They know. They know, because I know that they know how my people go.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Roll with the best for all your printing needs. There ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
With escalating global conflicts, are you ready for what's next? Join us at RF Bahamas Economic Outlook on March 12th at Bahamasair, where top global and local experts will break down the key economic, political, and social trends shaping our future. Hear from KT McFarland, former Trump National Security Advisor, and more. Plus, gain CPD credits, powerful insights, and high-impact networking all in one day. Don't miss out. Secure your spot now at rfbeo.com. That's rfbeo.com. RF Bahamas Economic Outlook. See you there.
Collect, the Bear of the Bahamas invites you to Victory Fest 2025. Join us Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler Square for an epic celebration of the 2024 Boxing Day and 2025 New Year's Junkin' Winners, the Saxon Superstars. Enjoy music by Playhouse DJs, Lil Giant, DJ Tank, and performing live, Van Sean and D-Mac. Let's celebrate the 4 straight Junkin' Winners, Saxon Superstars. Victory Fest 2025, Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler Square. Hosted by Rika C. Gates open at 8 p.m. Let's celebrate Junkanoo, culture, and the Saxon Superstars. Collect reminds you to drink responsibly, play.
Spain sounds like this. But with a little Caribbean, it can sound like this. The world needs more Caribbean. And with FedEx, you can ship your products to every corner with increased cargo capabilities, 24/7 shipment tracking, and shipping tools. Take your business worldwide and enjoy life a bit more like us.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business, a special edition of Morning Blend Business on this Friday, February 21st, 2025. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. We got a special edition today, as we said. We've got historian Christopher Davis, John Canoe II, John Qua. Sir, good morning. Great to have you with us.
Yes, man.
Got
morning,
a lot of titles. I want to get it all right there.
Yeah, man, respect.
But good to see you as always. And it is Black History Month. Is that an American thing? Should we, as mainly black people, majority black people, be observing something like that, or what do you make of Black History Month?
Certainly, I think when you realize its inception, you would certainly understand that. So its inception came from one of our great scholars, unsung scholars, by the name of Carter G. Woodson. He was an American, but when he founded Black History Month, actually, to paraphrase a quote that he made, he said, it's not really about black history, but it's about the way that black people sort of fit into world history and to view history without racial prejudice. And actually, before he said all of that, he said without national prejudice. And he himself, of course, was a Garveyite. So it's certainly something for all of us. I hear people complaining that, they picked the shortest day, month and all that.
Right.
And I share some of those feelings, but at the same time, from Carter G. Woodson's perspective, he started it as something called Negro Week, where you focus on that, and then it blossomed into Black History Month. Yeah. And it was actually done around the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, who were born in February. So that's actually why it's in February. It's not a conspiracy against us.
And if you wanted to take it into March, hey, you could do that, right?
Certainly.
No one's stopping you.
Well, this year actually at Clifton Heritage Park, I'm there now. That's where I also represent. Mm-hmm. We actually have our International Women's Day celebration on March 12th. And I'm also very happy to say that we'll also be doing something in celebration of the 20th anniversary of what we call the Sacred Space, which were those statues that were done by Antonius Roberts 20 years ago. And we're turning that essentially into an outdoor historical exhibit that focuses on the lives of 12 African women in the colonial Bahamas. Quite powerful stuff, featuring mainly Mary Prince and, of course, Kate Moss, who was recently inducted as a national hero.
Excellent stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to have a great discussion today, centering mainly on Black history.
Right.
So what do you want some people to pay attention to that they might be surprised about?
Well, I would think that in this world right now, it's actually quite exciting, right? Not in the whole cultural world, but in the cultural heritage space, I think things are quite exciting. You saw that our sort of counterparts over there at AMMC just opened the gates to Collins House. They had something with that. And, of course, we over at Clifton Heritage Authority are doing stuff as well. And you saw the National Archives, of course, involved with the return of some crucial artifacts, right? And, of course, people have to look at these things and celebrate them, even though we may have certain issues that still arise, and some of these things raise more questions. But that's what
I'm sure you heard the controversy people saying about.
Yeah, and so it's little things. But at the end of the day, this space is quite exciting now. For a long time, we all know as Bahamians we've been sort of deprived of a true historical narrative, and particularly one that can inspire us as a nation. right? And for a long time, these things have not been available to us as well. But I could tell you, if you come and see me at Clifton Heritage Park, just call us. Go right online, just Google Clifton Heritage Park. You will see the number right there. I believe it's 477 0978. Let me just make sure that's the right one. Before and you could come and see us there. There's so many stories that we could focus on, particularly when we look at our history as Black people here in the Bahamas, right? And of course, it's very much attached to chattel slavery and the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade in the Bahamas. But there's, of course, so much more to that, particularly the ways we resisted our enslavement here in the Bahamas. And even leading up to our modern history now at Clifton, I've been doing tons of research, having a lot more time using the resources at Clifton Heritage Park as well. And I've, been making some quite profound discoveries that tell stories more from our perspective, and we are also making some really sweeping changes. We work closely with the Ministry of Education, and you may have heard that there are some new curriculums coming out.
Right.
I don't want to speak too much to that side, but there's an event coming up next month that will be unveiling some of these new curriculums and new history and cultural aspects infused in all of these lessons that our kids will be coming up with, right? And I think all of us would agree that's a good thing. And then you saw last month where they included Junkanoo, right, as a part of all of that. And all of this, of course, has to do with our heritage, right? And people often conflate the two words, heritage and culture.
Right.
So you would hear people say things like, this ain't a part of Bahamian culture. Well, anything we do is actually pretty much a part of our culture, right? Whether we like it or not. But heritage is that thing that's immovable, right? It's almost intangible in a way, but it's immovable. So your heritage does not change. While your culture could change in a myriad of ways, the way that you speak, the way that you cook food, the way that you move around. We use a horse and carriage place, and now everyone get a car. Right. You know what I mean? All of these things. So, and of course, many people view these things as progress in a sense as well. And I believe, and from a national perspective, sometimes our lack of knowledge of our own history, and even those of us who know some of our history, the lack of proper perspective on our history leads us to forget the amount of progress that was made, whether you're talking about the past 200 years, the past 100 years, or even, dare I say, the past 50 years, right? Because many of these things, came from a place of oppression, racial oppression. And our historical narrative, unfortunately, has been painted to us in a way where we feel like, racism was so horrible over here and so horrible over here, but racism didn't really exist here in the Bahamas, and we didn't have the same issues. Our ancestors didn't go through the right things. We hear people say, oh, well, Bahamians, we don't fight for our rights and we don't stand up. And I'd be like, we certainly do. In the days of slavery, we fought. Many of us lost our lives for it. In the days of colonialism, many of us fought. And once again, many of us lost our lives for it. Wow. I can touch on some of that too, talking about the Burma Road uprising and stuff. And now today, because we have gained a certain level of autonomy, and of course we are no longer chattel slaves, we are no longer virtual wage slaves living on white-owned farms where they exploit us and pay us back with the same fruit we produce and exploitation and expunging. And so we've actually progressed from those things. But Bahamians do resist because, anything the government does is highly scrutinized, right?
Seems like more now than ever before.
Right, exactly, whether rightly or wrongly. And some people may say, well, it's just talking, but no, that's actually resisting the things that you do and others do, trying to bring balance and bring perspective and keep awareness out there. All of these are ways that we actually continue to resist our oppression, to resist all of these things. However, these issues are deeply rooted in our history, and many of them continue today. And I ain't gonna get too much into companies or call no names at all, but the fact remains some of these entities that were very problematic for us over the past 100 years, when you look at things like the General Strike, the Burma Road Uprising, these entities still exist today, and are stronger than they were back then, right? I can leave that right there. So this is not something that is completely gone away by no means, and I'm not here singing Kumbaya, because look at how great life is for Black people in the Bahamas. However, relative to the entire African diaspora. When you travel to other countries in the African diaspora, not to call no names, but you could just, people see it, people make comments on it all the time, and I think that this immersion in our Black culture and our Black history will then translate into a more effective form of national pride today.
All right, I got to ask you this. So when we have conversations like this, some people get very uncomfortable.
Right.
And it's not who you think. It's people who look like us as well,
Yeah,
right?
certainly.
Like this is divisive, and can't we just move on and just focus on the things we have in common moving forward? What do you say to people who are made uncomfortable when there is talk like this?
Well, there's many things to say. First of all, just to quote a cliche statement from Marcus Garvey, a tree without its roots has no foundation. History is the great unifier. Right now, what we need in this country and every facet of life is unity. The way we drive and all, we need some unity. Our politicians on both sides of the divide, we need to see unity. We need to see it amongst our brethren who might be involved in gangs and quick to take another life. We need unity across the board, but that unity is needed amongst us within the African diaspora. Now, it would be extremely harmful and has always been harmful to us to be ignorant of our true history and our true heritage. I don't even think I need to expound on that, right? And when we're talking about the comfortability, it is actually because of the effect of colonization that we have, right? And I'm not knocking anybody, but when we look at the things that we believe, right? When we look at systematic racism and white supremacy, you could just look around. And I actually I don't know of any large, poor white community in the Bahamas. And when I say white, I mean white in the general sense, and in many ways we are so confused and we have been victims of this white supremacy and we don't even realize it. So even when you look at what most Bahamians think the demographic of the Bahamas is, I've heard Bahamians say, we 10%, quote unquote, white, 15% white. Even the people heard as much as 20. So that would mean 1 out of every 5 people or 1 out of every 6 or 7 is white, and we know that's not the demographic. Right. And then you have to remember what race actually is in the Bahamas as well, right? So
You're
many
not saying they're not white people. They're
right.
just not the whole communities like you'd see with some other.
Right, exactly. So let me make a parallel with the United States, right? When you look at whites in the United States, for example, we admit there is a massive racial wealth disparity in the United States. But you have the stereotypical Black ghetto, you also have the stereotypical white trailer park. You understand what I'm saying? But as you have the stereotypical underdeveloped community here in the Bahamas, you don't see that with Caucasians here. Now, that doesn't mean that every Caucasian walking around today is a racist and all of these things, but it speaks to something that we know exists called systematic racism. And it makes people uncomfortable simply because many of us, because of the trauma that our ancestors experienced, because of systematic white supremacy, we continue to have on a sort of goggles that views the world in that way. So we are taught that God is white. We as Bahamians, we will even discuss, the Bible described Jesus black and all of this different stuff, but you still get the white Jesus on the wall, right? Muda Baruka cracks a joke, and he say, close your eyes and think about Jesus, open your eyes. And he say, it's a white man you think about, right? Right? So,
Blue eyes.
Yeah, and these things were not things that were done and happened organically, where our ancestors were just there and received all this information willingly. These were things that were thrusted on us in the most inhumane of ways, right? And we have to understand these things as the African diaspora. This is why Black History Month is also important for us. And this is what Carter G. Woodson was saying, And people always portray these things as being divisive, right? And people don't even understand that the people that are enslaved, the people that are being oppressed, when they lash out against said enslavement and or oppression, how are these people viewed as the villains? You understand? And we have been so conditioned. Our historical narrative has just been following the lives of these loyalists. Most of us have Scottish and Irish surnames and don't realize those were in fact the names that were thrusted on us by our enslaver, or any displaced African that came here who then had to adopt the name of the person they were apprenticed or indentured to, which is just another way that the British used to exploit African labor while singing their own praises about how they end slavery, and they have this anti-slavery squadron going around the place.
Wow. So this text, you're speaking to this texter, I suspect. This person says here, let your guests know, talking about you, that many Bahamians are proud of their colonial history.
I know.
We were educated, socialized, and upper middle class people. Our story should not be one of suffering and poverty, because it was not.
So
your guest is more in tune with American history.
No, I am not. We actually have more racial disparities here in the Bahamas, where we have about, to be realistic, between 4 and 5% white people when you're talking about what whiteness is. So let's define that. That is anyone of clear and obvious European descent without African descent. That's what white is, right? And black today means any person of clear and obvious African descent, right? And we have sort of adopted that in that sense, right? But what that text has said right there, it's just utterly ridiculous, right? To praise your colonial master and then to suggest that blacks were upper class in that time, right? So let's just get some statistical data out there. So we're talking about before the Loyalists came. Let's say there were about 5,000 to 6,000 Bahamians that were here. The ratio is actually quite split down the middle, one white, one black, right?
Oh, really?
Side note, every time blacks made a move where they got more political autonomy or economic autonomy, you see a mass exodus of whites from the Bahamas, right? So during that time, you have half white, half black.
Continues straight into the 70s, eh?
Yeah,
1970s.
all right then. And
Okay.
about half of the blacks were enslaved at that time, right? So you're talking about that. Now, after the American Revolution and the major influx of the Loyalists, you're talking about a ratio that increased, I think, is somewhere around 7-1 whites to blacks. But now close to 90% of blacks were now enslaved. And remember that we now have been in slavery as a space called the Bahamas for a longer time than we have been out of slavery. And even leading up to emancipation, more than 70% of blacks were enslaved. So that's up until 1838. You understand? Now, I don't know where the text is talking about you are blacks who are upper class. This is why we celebrate people like Milo Butler, because he was one of those people that were able to slip through the cracks. We have people like Joseph Robert Love, who had to go all the way to the University of Buffalo to become one of the first acclaimed medical doctors in history. Our very own, of course, one of the influence of Marcus Garvey and that. But for this person to say these things, it just kind of proves my point and just how utterly ignorant we are in these things, and how whitewashed our history, in fact, is. And the sad part is we just swallow these things up. And for someone to believe that the blacks were the upper class, you show me any nation in the world where blacks and whites live together and blacks make up the majority of the upper class. Any nation, and that's including the Bahamas. And yeah, so I don't need to expound anymore on that. And I think that any person with the most basic understanding of history would know that that was just pure, let me call it folly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you talked about, the artifacts that were returned.
Right.
Commentary from a lot of the people was surprising. Talk about why that was important for that to be returned, and the folks who were saying this has no business being here, and this is going to bring. I heard everything from curses to all that nonsense.
Well, these British colonists, who we are, as the text show, are taught to worship and kiss their feet. They stole a lot from us. They stole land, they stole money, they stole our autonomy. But they also stole artifacts and historical relics, right? So you're talking about, particularly in the early 1900s, I don't want to call some of these names because it may be a little troublesome, because we have institutions that are named after some of these governors and it might be sort of conflated, but they was doing plenty thieving. So for example, the American Indian Museum, which is under the Smithsonian Institute, has over 208 Lucayan artifacts that were all found here in the Bahamas. We're talking about from human remains to doohos to all of these things. Let us not forget too that the Lucayans are in fact culturally extinct. These islands were completely depopulated, and so it's on us to tell their story. This is an issue that does not just affect the Bahamas. I don't want to expound on it too much, but throughout the African diaspora, throughout the indigenous American world, throughout the Asian world, there has been massive movements for the return of these artifacts that belong to us, right? And we should be the ones who have them and be allowed to display with them. And we need to take a more revolutionary stance on these things. And again, just stop this sort of worship of these things on the outside. From people who talking about curses and these things, I would actually argue the opposite. I think the curse would be lifted when those ancestral remains are returned home. And that is along the lines of a lot of indigenous beliefs that you see throughout. And the Ahanta people, as a matter of fact, they are dealing with this issue on a much, much, much bigger and important and crucial scale than we are here as Bahamians. And there's a widespread belief that Ahanta, not to use this pun, but Ahanta will not be great again until those remains are in fact returning. We're talking about one of their late great kings who, like John Canoe, fought against the transatlantic slave trade and lost his life because of it. And his remains were used for scientific study to prove that blacks were inferior. You see, and these are things that still infect us to this day. You have centuries-long people doing things under the guise of science, measuring our skulls and measuring our sexual anatomy and using these things to prove that we are inferior. And these things manifest today in these people who talk about blacks have lower IQs and all of these different things. Yeah.
My goodness, wow. And I know you're not with AMMC, but you mentioned the gates, and a lot of people miss the significance of this. Let's talk about that a bit.
Right, so that's, Collins House. That's where the old, most people know that's where the old Ministry of Education was, right there, Shirley and Collins Avenue. And for a long time, it had fallen in disrepair. As I said, I'm no longer there now, but I've been hearing a lot of good things. They under some new leadership and some new, young, vibrant historians been there as well. They are mandated to safeguard nationally, on a national level, all of our historical relics and all of these things. So the opening of those gates is just to let people know that, hey, this is another place that you could come and you could learn your real history, And I would encourage people to reach out. And of course, they manage our sites, right? And I'd encourage people to come and see me at Clifton Heritage Park, set up a full day, book it, and request that I be there. If you want to get into some deep history, I do things that are catered towards family and stuff like that as well. And of course, AMMC manages our sites, so you could go visit any of those forts, and also the Pompey Museum downtown, which speaks to the transatlantic slave trade and some of the very things that I'm speaking to now. And of course, it's named after the late, great Pompey Roll, who was the leader of a massive uprising over there in Exuma that did not bubble down until slavery essentially ended.
Wow. We're talking with historian Christopher Davis, John Canoe II. Callers, we'll get to you in a second. You listen to the show, so you hear you hear the things we have to say about the once again President of the United States. And we've gotten a few text messages, people saying, that you keep talking about Germany in the 30s. This is ridiculous. Why are you doing that? This is nothing like that. But the many others are texting to say, clearly a lot of Bahamians we're not taught world history, at least 20th century world history, to see the parallels that we're seeing right now. I want to get your perspective on this as an historian.
Yeah, so I assume that you're talking about all these Bahamians that seem to love and support Donald Trump, right? Or indirectly or indirectly.
Hundreds, if not thousands, it seems.
So let me just say this, I did raise issue. I don't like to use the term self-hatred because that's a little diminutive, and it is kind of insulting, right? You don't want to make people just because you don't understand these things, it don't mean that you're not stupid. Remember, these things were systematic over the last centuries, driven home to us. And I also just commented us as Bahamians in the way that we've actually I argue that we've always been resilient, resistant, let our thoughts be known. I could touch one or two of those stories too from back then, hopefully if I have time before I go. But here's my thing, and I hear a lot of people who call, you have a lot of personalities, you even have other shows and all of these things where, probably rightfully so. They criticize the government on many different issues, probably wrongly so. It's all on your opinion. It's a democracy. You ask them about Lyndon Pinland. You ask them about Hubert Minnis. You ask them about Hubert Ingram. You ask them about Perry Christie. You ask them about the current PM. They wouldn't have a single good thing to say about these men. But when you ask them about Donald Trump is the greatest. And I heard one day you was pretty much drawn, I think it might have been like yesterday or even the day before. You said
His king thing?
Yeah, this king thing. And you said that if our prime minister did that,
God.
everyone calling for his resignation
Absolutely.
tomorrow, 110%. I agree with that, But here's the thing. Why do you hate your own leader so much and love this man so much? A man who has been proven to be immoral, has been convicted in courts for various sorts of crimes, you know what I mean? And I will put this statement out there. Those of us who love our country and understand how the world works will realize that every single, I wouldn't say premier, because that's colonization time, that's a different thing, but every prime minister that we've had, all the ones that I just called, all 5 of them, are more honorable than all 46 or 47, however many of the presidents that they have ever had. That includes Abraham Lincoln. That includes all the ones we like to put up, JFK. That includes all of them. When you look at the level of scandals that American presidents have gone through, when you look at the amount of people that American presidents have killed, even Barack Obama. Barack Obama has killed millions of people in the Middle East through their American imperialist political ideals. You understand? And these are facts. So I am very confused at why Bahamians, and then we say, oh, this American culture, and always going over Bahamian culture, but you hate your leaders who you voted in. Like I said, any of the 5 prime ministers are more honorable than any of them. They never invade no country. They never been charged or convicted of no murders. They never pushed no button for no nuke to kill 500,000 people in a week. You understand it? And it's like we just are completely ignorant of world history and the stance and what the Bahamas actually is and our position in world history, and whether we want to admit it or not, our position within the African diaspora. And don't forget, a few years ago, this man was making sweeping statements about the Bahamas when there's this issue of Bahamians going there, and he's saying there are a lot of bad people. Come on, man, like this man has shown, right? And now he talking about taking over the Bahamas and people actually welcoming it. But these the same people beating their chests, talking about how they love the Bahamas so much, but they willing to sell our sovereignty down the river. But they won't call the corrupt passport official treasonous. But you who ready to sell your autonomy, your Bahamianness down the river to an imperialist power for nothing, for smooth road. You ready to sell your Bahamian autonomy for smooth road. I will take my Bahamian autonomy and I'll walk on dirt road, bumpy road, drive on bumpy road and fix my car tire every week so I could remain a Bahamian.
Wow.
You see? And people don't look, and they beat their chests and love Donald Trump so much and hate their own leaders who come from us, by the way. Donald Trump is a man who played a crucial role in the imprisonment of 5 young African Americans in New York. Watch the Netflix show When They See Us, and have some compassion for yourself. Have some respect for yourself, and have some compassion for your fellow Africans throughout the diaspora. That's what I say to people like that. And though our leaders have had issues, and we might not like some of them, let's not lose sight of what's really going on here.
My goodness, wow. Is it unfair to say there are parallels with what we were seeing in Nazi Germany in the 30s? Is that an exaggeration?
100%. There are many black scholars who argue that this is an ongoing African genocide. The transatlantic slave trade was a genocide, the colonial period. These are many genocides conflated into one thing known as the Ma'afa. And when you look at these parallels, when you look at the things that were being said in the lead up to that, you only need one wrong leader and I ain't trying to call no leader, but we have a leader right now who I would make, not to say that he is anywhere near as psychopathic or evil as Hitler, but from a political standpoint, from the standpoint of these sort of fascist views, these sort of fake ideals of what Bahamian is, and using words like organic Bahamian and all of these things are actually very dangerous and should not be taken lightly. These are the things that do lead to genocide. These things are not sporadic. You understand? And of course, right now, I don't think there's a cause for panic and that, but we are certainly in the early stages of these things that lead to these things, right? And when you have so much oppression, when you have so much misinformation, much of this misinformation is put out there just literally to distract us. You have information going out there now talking about how King James, who wrote the Bible, was black and all just utter foolishness. The transatlantic slave trade didn't happen. I heard a fellow Lord Jamar talking about flat earth and how ain't no transatlantic slave trade happened. Show me one slave ship. And I like, bro, I know about 80. You know what I mean? Just in the Bahamas alone. So, we have to be very careful. And what we have to do is trust our historians, trust our scholars, I'm not trying to big myself up, but I'm one of those people doing that. You have people like Ann Husara, who's also a regular here on Guardian Radio. You have a great team over there at AMMC of young historians and more seasoned historians. You have many books, The African Diaspora in the Bahamas, New Negroes from Africa in the Bahamas. You have the dissertation of Paul Daniel Shirley. You have my book, Black Rinse. You have Dr. Chris Curry's book, Freedom and Resistance. So you have Dr. Ian Straughan's book, about poor black Kate. You have these things, and we have to understand. Don't just let social media be the one that guides you. Some of us are on social media, not me as much, but pick your sources correctly and find those that you could trust. If you want to learn about space and you want someone you could trust, I say go to Neil deGrasse Tyson, because he is proven to be someone who is cut from a certain cloth. And you may have his issues with certain things, but at the end of the day, if you want to talk about things in outer space, go look to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He has information on some of the concerns that we have right now going with that. Man, you all should reach out.
Yeah,
and
that's
see,
a good idea.
And
That's
see,
a very good idea.
man. So, and it's not all doom and gloom. We have to come together, and we have to be supportive, and we have to stop. Like I said, politicians deserve criticism from time to time, but let's remember what politics is. Politics pretty much is the battle for power. That's what politics is. So, if you see a door-to-door salesman come knock on your door to try to sell you something, you might be slightly annoyed, but you won't go be like, "But I understand. Why are you trying to say?" That's his job. The politician's job is to convince you to vote for them. So some things for me don't require the outrage, and I think that we have bigger issues like wealth disparity. Why food costs so much? Who bringing in all the food? Who own all the food stores? That's why food costs. One of the reasons why food costs so much. But there's a bigger reason outside of us, because we importing everything from Big Brother United States. So when we talk about things like inflation, these are global issues that affects the entire African diaspora. Yeah. Just saying something special to the Bahamas. Now ours is really high, but the same, what we see as our biggest blessing is our proximity to the United States could sometimes also be our biggest curse, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. We got a lot of calls. Let's take some of these. Yeah. This should be interesting. We're talking with Christopher Davis, and you can call in 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, toll free 242-300-5720. You can text us as well, 422-4796. Caller, good morning. Are you there? Let's take this other call there. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Pleasant day to you both.
Hi.
Morning.
Yes, thank you. I want to salute your guest in studio.
Thank you, sir.
And the points about how we supposed to be viewing our own as against those who are from another continent or living in another continent, supporting and doing their things for themselves. And regarding our name, persons will love us so much when they see our name and when they realize that the name that we have and they see us in person and they realize that we are black. sometimes they get so disappointed and they drop us right there like hot potatoes. I'm serious about that.
Yes, sir. I don't mean to laugh, but if you don't laugh, you cry.
And for the work that I do and online and so on, when they realize, oh, that's a black guy, and the story changes.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to. But I want to know. The question I have really is about the King James being black and the stress on blackness and the inventions of black and the rest of it.
Right.
I want to know if it sometimes it becomes so overboard. And I have a friend who sends me everything black,
mm-hmm.
and it's like we move them from one end, from white supremacy to black supremacy or whatever, and it sometimes it seems to me to take away the humanity of all persons being equal.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Right. Well, sometimes let's get it out there first. So, for example, like when I made that comment about King James being black, I was speaking to this sort of pseudo history, or to make it simply put, this sort of untrue, that history that appears to be highly researched, right? And this just comes from sort of justifications of certain issues and trying to paint away certain issues, Now, oftentimes, people sort of conflate a passionate black rant or any sort of movement towards African pride, anything you want to call it. They sort of conflate it as black supremacy, right? Now, black supremacy was a term that Marcus Garvey used to use at that time. But remember, this is the period of social Darwinism and scientific racism, where if you went to the Bronx Zoo, you would have seen Africans in cages next to chimpanzees, right? So, right.
It's a real thing.
Exactly. So within that, now, most of us are not saying black supremacy. And when you look at it from the Rastafarian angle, of course, they're using it on those sort of unmovable principles of early 20th century Garvey. And remember, for them, Garvey is a part of the Holy Trinity, right? So you would see it in there too. But remember now, this is the counteraction of 400 years of scientific racism, right? And it's not about blacks being above whites. It's about blacks having their own autonomy. You understand? And I get to show you, if roles was reversed, this is a joke I crack with some of my branches. If roles were reversed, we would, as black people, would have to be looking over our shoulder all the time, wondering about that. Now, and this is actually where subconsciously this fear comes from. There are many scholars who have written books about this, like Marimba Ani. You also have one of these other scholars. I'll just point you to the documentary. It's called Racism: A History, and you can watch the first segment. And he talks about how many whites fear any form of black pride or anything like that because they already have an internal fear, whether consciously or subconsciously, of the type of things that have been done to people of African descent. You understand? And so remember now, this is something that has been done to us. This is not adopting a victim mentality, because asking for recompense, asking for reparations, or simply asking to be left alone and given the same opportunities to develop, to grow, to educate oneself is not a cry for that, However, within the age of social media, and to be honest, you do see it on both sides. So you see certain sides of liberal media, they'll make any Trump supporter look like they just an utterly complete idiot, when they might be a Trump supporter because they might be in the timber business and he doing something special for, you understand? So but he might hate the fact that just because he might have voted for Trump, don't mean he worshiping the ground the man walk on, right? And then, of course, it's the same on the other side. Those of us who are on the liberal side or on the progressive side, which you also find that people who are activists, people who seek social justice are typically on that side as well. But you then have those who are far, far, far on that side, right? And then they prop those ones up. And so one of the groups that you see unfairly portrayed, for example, are the Hebrew Israelites, or as they call them, the quote-unquote black Hebrew Israelites. And they would typically show you videos online with them getting in big curse outs and cussing arguments with a white Jewish person on the street, right? But they don't really show you like the essence of their service or get into the ways that they do other aspects of themselves, right? But it's not black supremacy, you know, it really isn't, but some do claim it to be. And then again, remember, we are in a white supremacist world as well. So within the context of that, you can't really define it as a move or a push and this big political shift into black supremacy all of a sudden.
This time is really going. Let's see if we can squeeze one more call in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi, caller. Are you there? Hi. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, hello. Good morning, Mr. Son. How you doing?
Doing very well. You got about 30 seconds.
Yes, Chris. Bless up. Enough respect. Yeah, but Chris, I want you to, then you come on again. We need to do a show on all of the injustices and systemic injustice in the United States as far as the lynching in the South.
Right.
About when you open me mouth. Niecy Brown, Willie James, all of these types of lynchings that took place systemically.
Right.
And nothing was done.
Right.
All right.
Yes, sir. So I'll just end on this before we go. You could come and see me at Clifton Heritage Park. I'll be back, of course, to talk more about our International Women's Day and National Heritage and World Heritage Day celebrations. And I just want to leave people with a little message. You know, we adopt many aspects of American culture, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we love American football. Of course, we love basketball and baseball. We love their shows, their movies, and all of these things. Many of us, unfortunately, love Donald Trump as well. But we must also adopt this Black History Month. You know, we must also not feel that we are completely separate from the African struggle in the United States, because it certainly involves us. And don't forget that most of our ancestry actually comes from the Gullah Geechee corridor as well. So they're saying not something far from us. These people literally are our cousins, factually speaking, right, and from a historical standpoint. And, you know, I just want people to unify, immerse ourselves in our culture and our heritage, and find things that we have in common. And our heritage is that thing that is immovable that we have in common.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And we're going to be seeing a lot more of you over the next few months. So
few months, yes. And then I don't know if you want to make the announcement, but I should know you have some plans. But we plan a monthly show. You said the last Friday of every month.
Last Friday of each month, you're going to be with us as we talk about history and a lot of the work that you're doing at Clifton.
Certainly, right. And at the end of every Sunday, too, at Clifton, we want to welcome locals to come out there for our family day as well. But that'll be starting next month. And I'll be back, of course, to expound a lot more on these things. Thank you.
Excellent stuff.
Thank
Always
you.
a great conversation. Christopher Davis, thank you for being here with us today. Folks, be sure to pick up today's Nassau Guardian in the Guardian Business section for the latest in business news, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. Everybody have a great one. I'll be back on Monday with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Remember, 242 Day is Monday. Show your Bahamian pride with and everything you do on Monday and every day. Why not every day? But especially on Monday, 242 Day. Have a great one. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Erin Green coming up next.
Celebrate your time is here because we're moving forward, upward, onward, together, moving forward, upward, onward, together, moving forward, upward, onward, together now.
Collect America Bahamas invites you to Victory Fest 2025 on Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler Square for an epic celebration of the 2024 Boxing Day and 2025 New Year's Junk in the Winners, the Saxon Superstars. Enjoy music by Playhouse DJs, Lil Giant, DJ Tank, and performing live, Van Sean and D-Mac. Let's celebrate the 4 straight Junk in the Winners, Saxon Superstars. Victory Fest 2025, Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler Square. Hosted by Rika C. Gates open at 8 p.m. Let's celebrate Junkanoo, culture, and the Saxon Superstars. Collect reminds you to drink responsibly, play.
At CFAL, we understand that a secure future is the greatest gift you can give your employees. That's why our tailor-made group pension solutions are designed to fit the needs of both large and small companies. With CFAL, you can provide the retirement you and your employees deserve, ensuring peace of mind and financial stability for years to come. Join the many businesses that have already entrusted CFAL to create the right pension plan for their employees, and let us help you build a brighter future for your team. Visit us at cfal.com to get started on building wealth so you can live well. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.